That's weird. Okay, great. Now we're gonna press play. Okay, I think we're ready to start. Okay. Okay, cool.
They drive around on Saturdays and take all, and like these agents are like, this whole time. You're like, no, you could.
All right. Morning, everybody. Hi. I'm glad that y'all are all here, and I mean, like, considering the rain and stuff, like, pretty freaking on time. Like, I was expecting tons more people to wait a little bit longer. Before I start, everybody knows me, right? My name's Sweeney. Kind of big deal. Just kidding. I just think I am. So have you guys talked about the explorer, the vacationer, and the prisoner yet? So I want to talk just really quickly about this first. So whenever you go to a class, you have 3 different options on how you want to participate, how you're going to show up today. So you can be the explorer. You're like, I'm charging ahead. I'm here to learn more. And I know that's why you guys are here. And part of the reason I want to share the other 2 is because every now and again, you're going to be in a class and you might find yourself in some of these other positions. So I want you to be able to recognize it and also recognize it in your colleagues and in your peers, because you can help to lift others up to the explorer, right? We all want to be an explorer. The other one is the vacationer. Dude, I'm here to get out, like, this is better than going to work or, you know, like doing something else. Like, I can get some work done while I'm here. I see you, I do it too. Or also you can be the prisoner. You're like, dude, I gotta be here. They said I have to show up. So I don't want any of you guys to be here. If you're the prisoner, fuck out. Like, let's go. Like, get out. Like, we're done here. So just want to, you know, I just feel like that's like a really cool way to start, and just to know, like, this is what you can be. Like, the choice is yours. This is a volunteer, you know, experience for you guys. Today we're going to talk about the buyer consult, or kind of winning the buyer, so getting them to sign agency with you, which is actually really easy. Like, you know, I don't find this to be too terribly hard. I'm going to try to breeze through this point, because the next part I'm actually far more passionate about, and that is negotiating and winning the deal, right? So is it cool, everybody, if we kind of go through this as fast as possible? Also, I like the activities. So when we have an activity where we're able to, like, bring together, you know, come together, I'm going to want us to do that. If there's times when, you know, I ask y'all to talk, I'm going to sit here in silence until somebody talks, but I know you guys will. So we're going to be good to go. All right, everybody ready to start? Yeah. Okay. Never do 2 things at once. Okay, cool. So obviously, you know, the first half of each of the Ignite sessions, you know, we talk about growing your business. That's literally income producing activity. And then we talk about how you actually are running your business, right? So today, this is all about growing your business, because we're getting that agency signed. So we're lead generating for buyers and sellers, right? What is the most important thing that we do as a career as a realtor?
Lead gen.
Ding! Give her a cookie. That's perfect. So that is why we talk about it so terribly much. I mean, if you don't have buyers and sellers, you don't have a business. The end. It's not rocket science, you know? So we got to focus on that as much as humanly possible. Okay. I don't actually care about this part. Cool. This is what we're going to talk about today. Finding the buyer. They're freaking everywhere, okay? Everybody is a buyer at some point. It's just a matter of how do you stay in touch with them systematically and consistently, right? We're going to cultivate those leads, which is how you stay in touch with them systematically and consistently. Qualifying them. This is the part where I'd rather stay on today, because this is, you know, we can spin our wheels. I mean, has anybody yet so far, you know, some of y'all have shown some houses to people, then it's like, I literally have shown you 20 freaking houses. You're not ready to pull the trigger. Are you really a qualified buyer? No. Let's go back and put you on cultivate. And then signing the buyer agreement. And then, of course, we're going to recap. So really, like, how to find the buyer. Obviously, you can read this stuff, but it's really going to a lot of be based on, like, who are you? Where are you in your community? Like, I'm in a running group. Like, I just closed last week on one of my running group people. Marble. That's going to be your thing. That's freaking cool. Like, find your niche. Next in, referrals online. Like, we know where your business is, but also, like, are you a mom? Do you like to quilt? Are you a sports fan? Like, anything like this. Like, they're going to be wherever you are. Also, social media. If you're not on social media, guess where you're not going to find people? guess how easy it is to find people on social media, because you're one person talking to many people. So if you're not on social media, a little bit of a missed opportunity, and I would highly suggest you do that, even though it sucks and it feels soul sucking. I totally understand that. Especially if you're a private person, you're like, this is weird. But one to many. So we're going to talk about, whenever you're like, I'd love to hear some of your things. So when we're talking about like where to find buyers, like where do you feel like each of you are going to be able to find buyers going forward based on some of these stats, and then like to that own self be true?
Really anywhere, because I wear my badge and I wear my realtor pin, and literally like if I'm in line, I talk a lot. So like some way, somehow the conversation comes up, and I mean, from anywhere, I guess.
Okay. So basically, but in your community.
Okay.
I mean, like you're going. It's in your grocery store.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I mean by your community.
I mean, anywhere basically, but based on what we've been hearing, it's basically select one, because if you keep going everywhere, you're gonna get scrambled. So based on what I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna go down the open house route, see if that works, and if not, I will.
The deal is it will work.
Yeah, you're just gonna waste time, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, you always do work while you're at open house. We talked about
Right.
that.
I
Always
think
bring that
that's,
to you.
I think that's gonna be my niche first. And
Okay.
I'm kind of like you, I'm part of a lot of clubs.
Yep.
So that's obviously gonna be just me
And
being myself.
Have you picked a part of town where you're going to focus on your open
Uh,
houses?
Probably West Ashley.
Cool. Is that where you live?
Yeah.
Great. So that's the other thing. Like I'm at Johns Island. Like I live on Johns Island. Believe it or not, barely any business on Johns Island because
Yeah.
I don't hang out there. Like there's like 4 places. So I'm a West Ashley group. So anybody else want to share? Like where do you feel like you're going to find your people?
Social media.
Cool. How so?
I'm in groups.
Yep.
One of them is a political group.
Yep.
And I don't talk politics anywhere else but in this group. And it's giving information about certain things, and it's building trust with people before. And then it's like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm a real estate agent here.
Yep.
And
Building
that's worked
rapport
out
via
great.
Facebook groups
Mhm.
or social media groups. Love that. Anybody else?
Mine's kind of a mix of the two, like just open houses and social media.
Okay, cool.
Trying to get in through those ways.
Perfect. So,
What are yours?
great question. Mine is social media through my sphere for sure. And then like I show up to places. So like it's out and about for sure too. And it's, I never meet a stranger. Pulling the I'm a local card, really, like I love doing that. Sorry for you guys that aren't local. Like that's a big way. Like I can go to James Island and be like, my daddy worked there, my grandpa worked there, stuff like that. That kind of stuff helps. Social media, I did do a lot of open houses at first, and I love open houses. They're highly effective, and some people find them underrated or overrated. I disagree. I can literally tell you how much money I've made from them, and it's a lot. So, okay. So yeah, I was telling you about like my running group, like that dude, literally, he never even ran with me. He's just in the same Facebook group. I'm like, okay, like you don't even, somehow it came up that I'm a realtor at one of the things that I wasn't even at. And then, and he's even referred me somebody too. So, just like wherever you are, just be active in there. Just like be like a little mole, like boop, 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 boop. Like, I feel like that's literally the most important thing. So once you've had just an initial conversation, you're out and about, I literally bought a mattress the other day and I was like, yeah, well, I'm in real estate, so I can totally take off on Friday to get that delivered. Like, you just
Throw
pop
it
that
in
shit in super nonchalant. You're not doing anything. You're not selling anything. You're just saying, I can work around your schedule because I'm in real estate. And then the lady wants my card and they want some land in Johns Island. So like, it's not rocket science. This is where it becomes more complicated, right? So we're talking about, so once you cultivate the leads, this is where command is going to help you. Has everybody gotten into command to an extent? Does everybody know what a smart plan is? Or a drip campaign? Okay, I do want to show you a teeny bit about that. So let's look at right here. Has anybody really actually explained this to you guys yet? Okay, cool. So prospecting based, marketing enhanced, then we go to leads, contacts. So we're trying to get the appointment to make it an active client, right? So we're getting close to the end here, right? So, but in this part, that's when you really have to cultivate. So what I want everybody to do for homework is add themselves to the long-term SMART plan on command. Actually, the bi-weekly or the monthly SMART plan on command. Do you guys want me to show you what that looks like?
Yes.
Great. New window. Okay. The deal is we're busy, and if you're doing this right, you're talking to 10 people a day, right? I mean, you know, or whatever, give or take. So you're adding a lot of people into your database all the time. There's no way that you can actually develop deep relationships with, say, 100 people in a week-long period, right? So what we do is we leverage command to create automation in order to help to cultivate this, right? So you can see right here, there's smart plans. And you can see here's a library. So one of the things that I think is so cool, so say for instance, so Eric, let's talk about you. You want to do open houses. You're like, what do I do afterwards to follow up with these people so that they don't drop off the face of the earth? Because they're gonna, right? I mean, you know, they're gonna. Oh, look, I can just go to the library, search open house, and I can say, holy shit, this one has 27,000 people using it and 4 stars. It's pretty good. This one has 950 using it and 5 stars. I might be checking that one out. You can check the steps of it by clicking view steps, and you can say, okay, the first thing is a task that tells you to do something. The second one is to send a video text to that person. Brilliant, by the way. And it gives you a script for it. Then another task to basically add all of the notes in, a delay, an email, etc. So this literally goes through all of these things, and some of them are tasks, texts, emails. Yeah, I guess that's what this would be. So what you're going to do is you'll add this to your library, to your Smart Plan library. You'll go in and edit it. Make sure it sounds like you. Do you think that if you started talking like me, all of a sudden that people would be like, who are you? So you want to make sure that like everything is your voice. I'm just telling you, like, the more you are and the more weird you are and the more just totally authentic you are, the more people will like you, and you'll make a lot more money, and you'll do a lot more business, and you won't have to feel like you're selling your soul to something, right? So that was a little bit of a whatever. I don't know how to get rid of this. So these are our smart plans. So what you're going to do is you'll add the smart plan, and then you can add people to the smart plan. Well, let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys know how to add people to the smart plan? Okay. You add the smart plan first, you edit it second. Cool. You can add people to this smart plan from the smart plan. So like here, like you can literally click add contact. Do you see that right there? Okay, cool. The other thing, so you can go into the contacts. One of my favorite smart plans is actually a default smart plan in here. It is the monthly or bi-weekly neighborhood nurture. That thing works. The running group guy, that's actually why I ended up, because I never talked to the guy, like, you know, but he was, every time I sent this, he was like, thanks, Winnie, thanks, Winnie, thanks, Winnie. I was like, you're welcome, sugar. So you go into a lead, you click on smart plans. See, like Amber, I just added her. So Amber is not on a smart plan, but I need to, but her address is in here already, right? So we know she's a Folly Beach girl, right? So let's go to smart plan, add her to the smart plan. And for me, I'm going to send her, because she's inactive, like she's not actively looking, I'm going to send her a monthly neighborhood nurture. You might think to yourself, what the hell is a monthly neighborhood nurture? don't you worry, I'm gonna show you real quick. The monthly neighborhood nurture, literally when you click preview, looks like this. They're gonna receive this once a month. They can add neighborhoods to it. How cool is that? So if they wanna look at Folly Beach and you know, some of these other neighborhoods around it, they can do that. If they wanna check out this area and their beach house in North Carolina, they can even put those 2 neighborhoods on there, which is cool. So you can keep track of your other investment properties. Good for investors, right? So literally they're gonna see this and they're gonna be like, oh, how cool is that? And here's all the listings in the neighborhood. Oh, thank you. Here's all the listings in the neighborhood, all that kind of stuff. So they're gonna get this once a month. They're gonna think you put it together for them. How cool is that? You're not. You have to put in their address. That's also why it's really important to put their address in. Okay?
So you need a physical home address.
You need their physical home address. You actually can just add a neighborhood. If say for instance they rent West Ashley and they want to live on James Island, say they wanna live, I don't know, in Lighthouse Point. So you can literally go in and you click add a neighborhood where they are. You click add a neighborhood and you can literally add, it's asking me to do all that. But you can literally add Lighthouse Point. So if they're like, you know what, I really want to look at Sandhurst only. Cool. Like add it for Sandhurst and then they're gonna get updates for either the neighborhood that they currently live in or the neighborhood that they want to live in. Cool. Pretty neat stuff. Okay, all this shit's like all up in my way. Minimize, please. Minimize, please, dear God.
That's been everyone's challenge.
Great. All right. We did it. Okay, so homework is add yourself to a smart plan, check out the smart plans, think to yourself, okay, running group, you know, or whatever it is, like, I wonder if there's like met at blank in the smart plans, or just create your own, you know, you can totally create one from scratch. I don't recommend it because it's kind of a pain, you know, just because, you know, unless you just can think that way, but create one and edit it. So what other smart plans might you guys do besides an open house?
I see one for farming your neighborhood.
Hell yeah,
I
girl.
didn't know this was here.
Okay. I'm so glad you joined us.
I had no idea. I'm a smart person.
Well, now you know, and you don't know what you don't know. So, you know, that's why you're here. So,
There's one for everything.
yeah, there totally is. So, like, you know, I do career nights here and Vince and I recruit to the office, right? So, part of that is there's even like a follow-up smart plan for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so there's tons of different options. Any ahas so far about cultivating your leads?
Follow up
Cool. What do you mean? Tell me more.
with the smart plans. It's automatic. Why not take advantage of it?
Yeah.
Pretty easy. Just learn how to do it.
And remember the other day there was, you know, it was like 8 by 8, a 19 to convert, a 36 touch, like all those kinds of things. This is part of it. So this monthly neighborhood nurture, there's 12 dudes, you know, right there out the gate. There's also a quarterly call plan, the DTD2, if y'all remember that. That's what the quarterly call plan is for specifically, because quarterly you actually want to have a conversation. The rest of it can be rather systematized, right? And we're going to be able to use command to do that for us, which is cool. Okay, this is the part that I think is the most, I don't know, the part that's underappreciated. We're talking about.
Real quick question.
Go on.
Sorry. With these communications, like, are you like vetting people like, hey, I can send you information? Are you getting permission or?
Sometimes. So
And is there an opt-out in that?
there is an opt-out on every single bottom of every single email. So you're good to go. So yeah. Oh yeah, go for it. So great question. So usually what I do for the neighborhood nurture, I'm going to give you guys the easiest script. Hey, we have this new system. It sends you out a monthly market update. Would you mind testing it out for me and giving me feedback? I'd love to know what you think of it. Nobody would ever say no to that. Like yeah, I want to know how much my house is worth and I'm a nosy neighbor and I want to know what is going on in my neighborhood. Like nobody's ever gonna say no to that. And you're not saying, can I send you a monthly market analysis? You're saying, hey, can you test this out for me and give me feedback? Because everybody wants to help. They think, oh, well, I don't want you to prepare this monthly market analysis for me. That's too much work. But if you're like, hey, will you do me a favor? Not, I'm doing you a favor. You want to make sure it's the if I would you. It's literally it's a tactic. If I would you. Yeah. If I sent you this, would you give me feedback? We're creating a symbiotic relationship with that. Okay, cool. All right, now we are going into qualifying buyer leads. What do you notice about this that's maybe a little bit different than the phrase that we're familiar with?
Video,
On
like
the
on the side, you can stop the video, so you're not like.
That'd be
showing
great.
yourself, so then they can just hear
Thank you.
That's what most people have been doing.
Thanks, guys. All right, any ahas from this exercise? Anything maybe you didn't know before? Y'all knew everything? Cool, you guys are brilliant. What from this exercise do you feel like you're gonna take forward?
It's good to practice, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's good to practice.
Mhm.
Get more
Yeah.
confident, comfortable. Not saying they're all gonna be the same, but a lot of the same questions will be asked all the time. So just to be able to be prepared and ask those, you'll be a lot more confident and comfortable.
Yeah,
And that's makes you look a lot more presentable and
totally. Well, I know like you're gonna start to hear answers to the question and you're gonna be like, oh, I need to take the conversation this way, or oh, I need to take the conversation this way. Like you're absolutely gonna be able to read that based on your experience.
It's also like how to ask, to make a personal connection and ask somewhat personal questions, but like, I'll throw out a weird example, but this is a true story. When I was talking to a prospective realtor, when I was looking for a realtor to work with here, she asked me what my wife did,
Right,
and that was a real fast click. I'm like,
yeah,
because you know I'm married, you assume I have a wife. That's kind of, maybe you need to update yourself on current affairs and laws in the world. And I was like, she's like, oh, what does your wife do? And I was like, oh, I have to go to another appointment.
yeah.
So just being conscious of how you're asking questions.
Yeah, especially when you like when you know your market and you know your niche, and clearly they did not, you know? So also, yeah, like partner is an appropriate term, you know, your significant other. Yeah, there's so many other ways to put that. Yeah, your spouse. What does your spouse do?
Also be prepared, even though you should know this, but like literally make sure you know who you're gonna speak to when you go speak to them, so you don't call them the wrong name.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yes, rude. I've, especially with like gender neutral names, like I've totally been like, Sam, you were a female, got you. Like, you know, like, glad that I know, you know? Okay, cool. Any questions about how to qualify the buyer leads? feel like we like glazed over this one part that I don't think that we should glaze over, so let me make sure that we didn't. One of the things, oh, does everybody have lenders? Do you have 3 lenders?
No.
Do you have one? Yeah, you should get more. Do you have one that works with crappy credit? Do you have one that knows how to do USDA loans? Do you have one that's the people that you send the high Ds because they never communicate? Do you have one to send to the high Cs because they over communicate? Yeah. So these are the types of lenders that I would be sure to have, because like for the most part, there's like a couple that I send to, and I always send more than one because it's our duty to not steer, right? But you know, I do, if it's somebody that's like, I want to, you know, have a big farm or something, I'm not going to send it to my guy that's super quick and we just like get it done. Like I'm not going to send those people to him. Like I'm going to send them to another person that's maybe a little more thoughtful and methodical, like isn't kind of like that churn and burn. I love a churn and burn, don't get me wrong. But so make sure that whenever you're interviewing your lenders that you have quite a few. And
Hey, they'll find you.
oh yeah, oh my God.
They'll have more
Do
than
not
just
friend
one
all of them on Facebook. Goodness gracious.
Why do they try to friend us? I don't understand.
Without even saying hello, rapport, it like bothers me. It's like super
So how
bothers
do you
me.
qualify? Like what kind of questions are you asking?
So I would say what are the primary types of loans that you do? How do you communicate to your client? Primary types of loans that you do. How do you communicate to your client? What are your fees? What are your kind of hero packages? Because some of them are like, you know what, I have a killer VA package. You know, like that's what I know I'm super good at. Rev, for instance, they have a good land deal, like Rev FCO. So Terry Osorio, she's my land girl, right? So you need your land lender, you need this lender. There's, I mean, you know, some lenders don't do mobile homes, some do. So, you know, just like knowing that. So you'll have like your little repertoire. Having said that, you're still gonna probably recommend your favorite 2 lenders, you know, or whatever. Like you know, Matt and Ellie. Those are the people I think I probably sent you. I don't know. But like those are like my main people that I send. So okay.
Kind of the same thing with an attorney.
Agreed.
If you're
Yeah.
an attorney.
That actually my normal attorney doesn't do land or probate as much. So Butler and College does. They're in this building. They're really nice. You can walk upstairs and talk to them. So, you know, but my other guy is a stand-up comedian practically, and so I always work with him, and he went to high school with my brother, you know, so and I can say that kind of stuff because, you know, I'm from here and I get to say that. So, you're like, bitch. But so being able to say that kind of stuff like helps people know like this isn't just like some Joe Blow lawyer. This is like Ian who went to school with my brother, you know, so.
Are
You're
all
gonna do the
attorneys
same
pretty
thing.
much the same fees?
I don't,
500 to 550-ish.
mine's
So give or take
$450.
a couple bucks.
Yeah. Some of them are like $700. What do you know what your fee is?
Yeah, they're about 450, 500.
Yeah.
500 if you're the seller.
Yeah, sometimes
And
it's
then-
$50 more if you're on
Okay.
the
Yeah.
sell side.
They're all pretty much around,
Yeah.
give or take 50,
Yeah, they're all-
75 bucks.
Kind of within that range.
But
Yeah.
give them 2 or 3 and say.
Not with the lawyer. I don't.
Not
You-
with the lawyer.
Nope. Not with the
I
lawyer.
usually ask, do you have a closing?
Yeah, that's what you. Yeah. You
Yeah.
ask
Most of them
first,
say no.
and
And if
they
they don't say, this
I
is what I
just-
recommend,
I just say, "This is my guy. If it's cool, I'll just put that in the
Yeah.
contract." They're like, "Great."
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or like if they're up in Somerville, maybe using in Somerville.
That
or
is
if
very
they're
true.
West Ashley,
Yeah.
James Island, you know, so you have several.
I-
And Weeks in Irvine, they're everywhere.
Yeah, and Butler and College has one.
Yeah.
They have a Mount Pleasant one as well.
Okay.
So that's, for the most part, I use Ian, but he's on Volley Road. So I do change it up if it's, you know, if it's like on Somerville, you know, or Monk's Corner, or even like people. That's a great point. So, okay, so we found those motivated buyers. We're turning them into a warm lead and then a closed client. So basically, you know, one of the things in order to actually get the buyer, now we're signing the buyer agency, okay? This, I think, is super, super not hard at all, but some people are weird about it. So you have to just know that. So I go in a very nonchalant way about it, because the deal is it really isn't that binding. Like it is and it isn't. So it's not really that big of a deal. So it's just like, I'm going to project that to people because I don't want them to be super worried about it. So one of the things is, you're going to, wondering what this is. Okay, cool. So you're going to ask for the business. You're going to figure out when are they ready to buy. If they want to start looking now, if they're going to see a house with me, and I know Kyle said this the other day, I'll show one house without a buyer's agency to build rapport, because like, I don't know you yet. That's fine. Like, let's see if we vibe. And then, but after that, I'm like, okay, this is the paperwork so that I can start sending you listings. This is the paperwork so that, so that I have fiduciary, legal and financial, like, duties to you, and also privacy duties to you, which that's important. So you're going to ask for the business. When are they ready to buy? Ask for the appointment, and then assess their financial needs. This is basically what we already did. This has nothing to do with the So why do you think everybody knows what buyer agency is, correct? Okay, cool. Why do you think that's important? Like, I know I just basically said that it isn't even that like airtight of a document. Why do you think it's still important?
Well, for one, that makes them your client. Otherwise, they're not your client. And you're not obligated to all those things you just said.
Yeah.
Lays out the responsibilities between us and the buyer.
Yep, those are great reasons. What else?
Also in there, it covers like, it talks about mediation and everything else that goes on or what could possibly happen. So they need to understand that too.
Yeah, okay, so
So that's
informing them of the duties and responsibilities. What else?
Compensation.
Yeah.
What else besides not actually in the agreement? What does it actually mean to you and them in their heart?
It's a commitment.
Yeah. You're going steady. That's what I mean though. It isn't just like, they don't understand how binding the document is. And I always tell them, I'm like, we're going steady, we're not married. Like we like, this is fine, you can still break it off. But now like, you're my dude or you're my girl, So that's kind of like, and it also says, it means that I'm gonna work with you.
Mhm.
Like you're mine and I'm yours, and like what you say, I'm gonna help you facilitate, and what you ask of me, like this is it, and I'm gonna be super honest with you because you're my client. I gotta be, and I'm gonna be super frank with you, right? The other thing too is it's required. So fun fact. So we do have to have it. I will say there are some like indie brokerages out there that don't ask for this kind of stuff, and I would say sketchy. Like my last brokerage didn't require it, and then I come here and I'm like, I have to sign a disclosure, and I'm like, how much could I have hurt myself in the past because I didn't have those things documented or hurt them in the past? Like, made me feel icky. So cool. Let's see. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some tips to getting them to sign the agreement. Usually what I do, and this is my suggestion to you, is to say, okay, Mr. Buyer, I've talked about all of your needs. I'm super excited. I'm gonna get those alerts set up for you. The next thing to do is we need to go ahead and sign that disclosure in the buyer agency so that I can officially work for you. So I'll just go ahead and send that real quick. Cool. That's it. I don't even necessarily go over it. I'm like, these are the documents that are needed in order for me to do what you want me to do. So there's different ways to do that, right? Because some people are going to be different personalities. So, for the more worrisome people, you can be like, totally get it. So then I would bring it with me. And I would say, great, so this is the next step. This is the buyer agency agreement. So I'm going to go over what this means, so that like, these are my responsibilities to you. These are what I expect, from you. And this is what I'm going to do for you. So does that sound good? Does that sound like what we agreed upon? This is a tie down question. I don't know if you caught that. So that's really what you're going to do. It's not It's not that hard. Some people like, well, I'm working with other realtors.
First off, you should have told me that.
Yeah.
'Cause I can't
So-
remember.
Or we should have asked them that.
Yeah,
right? Definitely, yeah.
What are some or what are some objection handlers? I don't know if you guys went over these yet too. I'm still talking to other realtors.
Maybe how are they helping you? Or what exactly are they doing for you?
Yeah,
Might kind of explore that a little bit before
Yeah.
maybe you bring them back around to you.
yeah.
I actually do ask if they're working with another realtor, and some of them just tell me, and I'm like, well, I really recommend you actually go speak to that realtor, especially if they're already under, like,
If they're under
contract.
buyer agency,
You
it's
need
your
to
legal
go
responsibility to
speak
do
to them
that,
and be
by the way.
honest with them about what's going on and how you feel.
You could get dinged for not doing that.
Literally.
That's an ethics violation.
Yeah.
So, but if they're not under buyer agency, it's like several
Oh.
people. I mean, part of what I like to do too is just be like, well, what kind of service can I provide to you so that you're my girl? What kind of service, like, what do you need from me so that at the end of the day, like, I'm ready to send you listings by 5 o'clock today. Let's get this party started. I'm here for you. So
I
like,
like how casual you just
Right.
do it. Sometimes in my mind, I make it so like a bigger deal and,
I don't
you're just
know.
so casual.
I
and-
think, like I said, weirdo, authentic, like, but the more formal I am, the more I screw up my words. Every time. And that's why, like, I read through this once, I know what it says, I know how to sign the agreement, So, like, there's something to be said for winging it. Anybody here wing it on a lot of things in life? All the time. I'm a tip-top winger.
Yeah.
Great at it. Having said that, you still need to have the tools in the toolbox so you can pull it out.
Right.
Gunsling. That was me, gunsling. So you still need to have the tools in the toolbox so that you can wing it. If you don't know what to say, you can't wing it properly, and then you're gonna be like, shit, I totally missed this opportunity where I know I could have said this.
Yeah.
But say it in your voice, absolutely, always. Okay, this is just a little fun fact. Oh, this is where the lender part came in. 2019 NAR said 20% of all buyers are pre-qualified, and only 11% found their mortgage lender online. So I know this is going back to lending. What is that? Where do you see the opportunity in that?
What were those numbers again?
20% are already pre-qualified before they talk to us. 11% found their lender online.
So a lot of consumers already have lenders. that they like to work
Only
with.
20%.
I don't.
Yeah, a lot don't. I'd say in general, 11% of these people are working with the wrong lender. And the rest of them, I can tell them who to work with that will close the deal. If they found it online, if it's Rocket Mortgage, run. Or like, well, sorry. Like some of these places. Because there's just so much bureaucracy, red tape, fees, all this kind of stuff. And the deal is if you have to call 6 people to talk to the person that actually knows what your loan looks like, is that the type of service that you want to provide? So this is opportunity. So this is just like another place where we're able to, add value in general, right?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for
How
it.
many lenders do you send well, I guess now you don't send them list, but in the beginning, when you have a buyer, like, do you send them to you give them a list, but do you recommend that they try 2 lenders?
I don't know if this is right or wrong. I always send to Matt and Ellie. I say, hey, here's Matt and Ellie. They're both going to get you pretty much the same rate. Who do you vibe with? Ask how they communicate, see if there are any other fees, but who do you vibe with?
Because they don't just have to go through it just because they talk to them. They talk to them, if they like them, then they go.
Yeah.
Honestly, or what they give them the
Just
right
the same as
information.
me. Like, you can sell them a house, I can sell them a house, you can sell them a house, but like, what is gonna set us apart? It's the exact same with lenders. Like, they have certain programs that they use, we have certain programs that we use, right? But we all use the same contracts,
Mhm.
they're doing a lot of the similar stuff too. So it's how can we set apart? That's why I literally, like, Matt is my high D person, Ellie is my high I person. Who do you want? And Ellie's more C, like, she's more thorough.
Well, as a buyer, I've gotten a pre-approval letter from a lender to get the ball rolling and then shopped lenders.
Totally,
for
you
my
can do
mortgage
that too.
cases.
I think that's not a bad idea at all. Okay, cool. So I think we are, okay. Okay, so we talked about all of the lender stuff. I knew we hadn't missed that. Okay. The next part is, so we're going to talk about recapping and all that kind of stuff. So if 90% of, and this goes back to smart plans, if 90% of buyers say that they would use their realtor again, but like some stupidly abysmally low number actually do, where do you think some of the rest of this can help us? Give me some examples. What is the tool that we use to do this?
Yeah, cultivate the buyer leads, yeah.
What's that tool that we use within KW?
Command.
Great.
Smart plans.
Smart plans. Perfect.
Birthdays.
Birthdays, love that. Home anniversaries is a smart plan. You can literally neighborhood nurture. Yep. After they buy their house, that is one of my offboarding kind of things. I put them on the neighborhood nurture for the monthly, be like, okay, cool. Just watch as your house appreciates, you know, or whatever, right? So what are some other ways that we can kind of use the lead gen model to then get them to refer us or use us again?
I know this girl, well, this agent, whenever she has a closing, like she makes this huge post about it and she tags them in it, right? So every year, like, you know, when your memories come up, it'll come up. So they're constantly seeing her.
Super smart. That's good.
Yeah, there's a smart plan for that, the home anniversary.
Yep. Yeah, there's the home anniversary smart plan.
It's like a monthly newsletter that you send out to your database.
Yeah, yeah. You can also, you know, just quarterly look. So I do coffee or happy hours with my people. That's literally, if you say, Winnie, how do you build your business? I drink things. So basically, so literally like once a quarter, I go out with my clients, or I invite myself over for dinner. Like totally. The same way that you would cultivate a buyer lead, that's how I can stay in touch with my buyers after the fact. In fact, I married one of my buyers, like notarized it. Not literally married. Like,
Let's go with that.
no, literally, like I married her and her husband. Like I literally, and I've sold them 2 houses, and I married them on the dock at my house. So like that's the kind of stuff, and you know that's the kind of stuff that you can do if you are organized and systematically and consistently follow it up with your database. Ta-da! Okay, so basically think about it, this is a cyclical lead generation model, right? We're cycling them in to bring them to an A buyer. We're cycling them out to lead them to an A seller and buyer, right? So literally just like never ever stop cultivating is really the long and short of what I'm trying to say. Okay, cool. So think, what are some other things that you can do after the transaction to keep them in your world? Let's get some ideas.
Do you connect with clients on social media? Stay connected with them?
Yes, absolutely.
'Cause I'm
Fully.
an easy way, easy.
Yep, okay, connect with them on social media. Love it. What else?
So after the sale, send them their 4% tax.
Mm-hmm. I need to do that.
What's that?
So anytime a property changes hands, the assessment rate for taxes
Goes up to 6.
goes up to 6%.
Mm-hmm.
But owner occupant is assessed at 4%. So even though it's just a 2% difference, your taxes are essentially going to triple. So you need to wait about 30 days, you know, for the deed to be recorded, get your license changed, and then you apply for the 4%.
So you send them like the paperwork or like a reminder to go ahead and do that?
So
I add it to my calendar at the closed table to remind them.
too. Yeah.
I literally am like,
I'm sitting, me too.
and I invite them to that calendar event. That's one of the things that I do. But you can also print out their HUD, right?
you got to print out their HUD.
Yeah, you print out their HUD and you can be like, hey, I'm just dropping off so that you have the paper version of this. You can go ahead and file your 4%. What a cool drop off. I'd be like, dude, so organized. Somebody's hold me accountable to doing that. It's like such a great idea. just trying to hold me accountable to do that. Okay, cool. So I love, and also just like putting them on the smart plans and just continue to systematically, they can go on to, they can still be in your, in your email newsletter or, any other stuff that you
So
send
basically,
out.
just any way you're staying faithful.
You're just fully, you're not done with them. That's the point of it, is you're never,
So-
ever, ever done.
Is it because like then you say 90% of people say they would use their realtor again? Is it not happening because they just forget them?
Yes, and because cousin Johnny got their license yesterday. And because you're not showing your value enough next to cousin Johnny that just got his license yesterday.
Cousin Johnny drinks a lot.
That's what I heard.
It's that year.
Okay, so recap. So what, give me some ahas and or what you feel like your action plan is based on this, and then we're gonna break.
Smart plan, smart plans.
Yeah.
Smart plan.
That's
I
my
love that.
aha and my action plan.
Love it.
Yeah.
I'll write them.
Love it. All right. Others?
I'll be present in their lives.
Be present in
Always
their
have
lives. I love
your
that.
face somehow
Yep.
showing up. Keep them. I'm watching.
Like a creepy way to
But pretty much.
So my mom, she bought her house in, the villages, they love to play cards and all things like that. And for their gift, one of their closing gifts, she got them like a pen and all that stuff. But it was like a deck of cards with her name and everything on it. And we use it every time I go visit. And that lady's name is always there.
Okay, so a
And-
closing gift, we didn't talk about that, but
Yeah.
yeah, a good closing gift is a
And-
great idea too.
And
because-
somehow her name always gets brought up.
Also going back to social media, marriage, birth, death.
Cards, like greeting cards for all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but like, a
And
job
books.
change or if they got an award, I mean, that's solid gold right there.
Well, I will also tell you, when my girlfriend Ellie got pregnant with her second kid, I was like, I'm gonna be sure and follow her because she was about to need a new house.
Yeah.
Right, you're gonna need it. You're gonna need a new house pretty soon. So like, once again, just staying,
That's really smart enough about this.
or like, oh, I got engaged. Really? Because you live in an apartment. You're not going to much longer, right? All right, give me two more ahas.
I'm gonna go back and requalify my lenders and ask all these questions, and not just my lenders, but all of my vendors, so.
I love that. That's a good action item. Anybody else? One more, and then we'll break.
Oh, I like the asking for feedback instead of asking, because people really do, if they feel inconvenienced, they're inconveniencing us to get on a smart plan.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah. If I would you.
Yeah.
Yep. Love that. That's good. That's a super smart tactic in general.
I'm sorry, I missed.
You weren't here for that.
Yeah.
If I sent you this new feature that we're working on, would you give me feedback?
Awesome.
So same with local insights on command. Hey, if I featured you in my local insights, would you send me a couple of pictures so that I can make sure and reflect your business the best? Literally any business would be like, And if you don't know what local insights are, you should probably check that out. It's on command too. It's a different thing. Okay, cool. So smart plans, I think we got that covered. All right, let's break for 5 minutes, potty break, and we'll be back here at 10:15.
Negotiations.
For negotiations.
Smart plans.
Are you glad it's over?
No, I.
Well, I'm glad you came. I'm glad you came for this and not just the next one
It
too.
was more or less the first client.
Oh, I grabbed a
the
couple
actual-
also. Couple extra.
So I showed it to them,
So I got some pictures of them
Yeah.
yesterday. And I want your
So-
opinion.
I was just supposed to see the one.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
message me on like, okay, I have another client. No, you've been here, that's fine, so I ended up showing the house down.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So,
So, like obviously I'll need to edit them. Yeah, and then just like a
When
picture.
I started
picture
to
of
the other
the-
I'm a whole different, like.
yeah, it's so much better in person, yeah.
Right.
I would definitely be ABD now.
I'm like,
trying to
doing
see
everything.
how-
It'd be so brutal, yeah.
Working from
I'm
home
loving
has
this
been
guy.
really
I'm
more and more
Yeah.
invested in it.
I'm loving
it. Yeah.
So, like,
This year,
starting this in the
And then,
house, I was like, oh
um,
my god,
They
like,
told me, I was like, yeah.
What do you-
what am I supposed to do today?
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
most
So,
people,
no, like,
and I kind of agreed that one, but I felt like it was a little too pageanty. Like, do you think
I realized there were some
No.
parts that I wanted to come back.
That one or-
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like, I know how to
Yeah,
get the buyer's
I like
consultation,
that
like,
one.
you know, and ultimately, like, I want, I'm like, open house
they were just like,
actually.
Yeah.
And then I ended up getting two clients
So I
from
was
that.
like,
And then,
Okay, I don't know what to go there.
I'm gonna take
A
this
good
back
deal, I
to
get
my
that
notes.
information and I let them know I'm gonna send them.
Really
that
welcome
packet.
back.
And I
And my necklace is on.
I have
On
to
the side, and it would, every time I see my picture, I'd probably be like, wow. I was thinking more that one,
Yeah, like,
or,
basically with this,
or,
and I answer your question, but I do it that way and then they send it electronically.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they get it back to me and boom, you know what I mean? But then the real work starts.
Yeah.
You gotta find
because
it.
I just feel
Yeah,
like.
exactly, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, now once I get to the contract, I don't know the
Yeah, have you even gotten there yet?
So my first movie, it was and it was okay. Like, that they sold like 25 years ago. Person died, now they get it back. So like,
Yeah,
it's
so
so
I have these. Okay.
like I didn't have any red tape or anything like that. So now I'm like,
Actually, my sister
Yeah.
did,
Well,
but
I
it's
need to
pretty
put it
marketing, so she has like all the
I-
editing
I know
tools
it.
stuff and a professional camera.
what do I think?
I'm sure she will.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure she will. She
Yeah.
would love that.
2-minute warning.
So this was just in my apartment complex.
These are
Oh,
really.
yeah. There we go.
And then it's driving me crazy though, because my necklace is.
I just started
Because you're
in here,
Yeah.
Oh, now you are.
Thank you,
Yeah,
because I feel like I never end. So I'm thinking that one or that
Oh,
one.
wait, just do it full butt. Like, don't stop everything. And then,
I like that one too.
So,
Like she said, like maybe you could brighten up a little bit.
But I realize now, like, it makes me more sensitive.
Right here, I know, I hear you. No, I hear you.
All that things.
That one I like.
And then, just a little.
No, I love your opinion. No, I need those. My friend was like, this one needs to be on the dating profile, but not on the real estate page. I was like, yeah, you're right. So if you had to choose, which one would you choose?
I like these too.
That one?
I reached out to some friends and I mean, no one's interested in buying it. A lot of people down on the road. Yeah, but I mean, I've reached out to everyone on my phone already.
No,
I'm like, hey, what's up? I'm in, you know.
Finally
All that,
starting now.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
Not all of them,
Get all
probably
that stuff
third, I'd
done.
say, yeah. Slowly starting to do that.
Right? And then you get them on the plan. That's all
Yeah,
like,
and get them on the plan, yeah.
She-
You have to get them on the plan, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what you were saying, yeah.
Well, then, and then, like, if you open house and you just don't, I was like, all right,
Yeah,
this
that's
is still like,
Yeah, that's how I'm gonna do next year.
It's just.
Mhm.
I mean, they can direct.
Do you have an idea?
I got some yeah, yeah.
Like the only photos I've ever seen myself that
Bottle water, well, you don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, what is this fiction?
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
I
Of
know.
course, yeah.
All right, ding, 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 ding.
Do all that, yeah.
3, 2, 1. You're gonna be like, Winnie, you're gonna think of me in this moment when that happens. Okay, cool. Hopefully you guys had a lovely little break. All right, I love this part. So, yeah, so let's rock and roll. Okay, this is a lot more information than the last one. So if I'm going too fast, go ahead and slow me down, and I want to try to get through a lot of this. So one of the things, and I would just say in general, so this is on the running your business sides. This is part of our job, right? And a lot of buyers and sellers, this is a big part of why they hire you, is to do this, right? So, and it's really, I would say it's really important, and it's a tenet of KW in general. It's win-win or no deal. It's just, you have to find common ground. If you are putting pride in front of anything or ego, you are doing a disservice to your clients. So I'm just putting that out there, because it can absolutely be a deal maker or a deal breaker if you're not, if you're not seeing the forest for the trees, really. So today we're going to go down the breakdown, common points of the negotiation, just like the main things. A lot of people think it's only price. Nope, not. The 3 P's to approach negotiation, how to analyze counter tactics. We're going to do a role play during that. Yay. Employing the 3 P's, and then obviously recapping and doing our ahas. So, okay. Negotiation it's a bargaining process. So whenever you look at this graphic right here, we're essentially the middleman, right? So you can be as guarded or not guarded during this process whenever you're going back to your buyer and then the other agent, or your client and the other agent, right? So you're going back and forth, of course, until you resolve the conflict. You want to having a really good memory sounds awesome and stuff, but actually, writing this stuff down or keeping some, writing it in an email, just be like, to clarify, this is what we spoke about today, is really, really smart. And like, there's examples of people in the office. Stella has a great example of phone conversations biting her in the ass. So, and then other things had to come in. So the offer phase, during the offer phase, the goal is to negotiate the contract. And then there's also the repair, and during the contract close section, there are other opportunities to negotiate. So there's 2 kind of main times when you're negotiating, right? So let's see, we're going to go through. So I'm going to ask you guys this question. So, and just shout out, how can your ability to negotiate affect the outcome of the deal?
Huge. It can totally tank the deal, or it can absolutely make the deal.
Negotiations is all about power. It's all about control. Who's in control of the conversation at work. And it doesn't mean that you always have to be in control. It's a dance.
Yeah, it is a dance. And I like that you said that you don't always have to be in control, because I feel like a lot of times that's how I win. By letting people think that they're in control all the time. I'm like, oh, thank you so much.
A great way to think about it is, no one in sales ever wants to be considered a used car salesman. And the reason being is because a used car salesman, as much as you think you may have control, it's never you. It's always them. And they will impose that constantly. And that's the same thing.
Yeah. So it is about control for sure. What are some ways that you negotiate like in everyday life? Fair. Okay.
Kids,
Yep.
coworkers.
Even yourself. You're
I-
you're negotiating. Going to McDonald's today, I know I've gained weight.
Right.
Really.
You give yourself too much grace. Yeah. And what are some skills that you think good negotiators possess?
Listening.
Great. That's the best one. Go on. Tell me more about that, actually.
Because you can't get to the resolution if you're not listening to what the person wants.
Right.
If you don't pinpoint down to what this person actually wants and what is the hot button, most important number 1 issue for them, it's like you're playing darts blind.
Exactly. And I like that you said like pinpointed, because at the end of the day, oftentimes it's like one thing. Like, sure, it might feel like a lot of things, but at the end of the day, it is one thing. And all the little things might exacerbate that one thing, but really, it's usually just one thing. Why is asking questions important when negotiating? I think that's actually what you're saying. I think that's pretty clear. So after the investment of, you're moving the lead through this process, the goal is for it to close, right? Anybody? You want to ask? Okay. So that's why, stepping back, asking these good questions, because ultimately at the end of the day, do the clients want the house or to sell the house?
Yes.
Is it your job to facilitate that Yes.
Yes.
You know, within reason and ethics and boundaries and integrity and all that kind of stuff. So it really does affect your percentage rate too of your things closing. And on Friday, we're going to talk about contract to close and kind of how to bulletproof the transaction during that part. So really, like, once an offer is made, like, are we on the next? No. Okay. Once the offer is made, there's really there's three things that can happen, right? It's accepted, it's rejected, or it's countered. Did you guys know that if you reject an offer, you have to write that on a piece of paper and have it signed?
Yeah.
Cool, because most people don't. I have been guilty. Okay. So one of the things I think a lot of people think is, oh, it's just price, it's just price. And even people that say that it's just price, like say a seller, they're like, oh, it's just price. Do you want an offer that's 50K above, but it's a VA loan, or an offer that's 20K above, but it's an all cash deal as is with no contingencies? Yeah, so price isn't always the issue. So just be sure to once again, just not seeing the forest for the trees when we're looking at that. So, but it does usually go into price and terms. So a lot of times, yeah, the price is a big factor, but then you've got to break down the terms. And it's our job also to present all offers, even if they're shitty, to your clients. That's your job. It's written in our paperwork. So just keep that in mind, because they might see something else, that you don't see. They might be like, you know what, I want the lowest one because I'm rich and I want to give this family a chance. And I saw them on my Ring camera and they have 2 little kids and she was wearing a pink dress and pink is my favorite color. Dude, fine. It's your deal, So you can't ever assume to know what they're going to want, right? Once again, going back to good questions and really active listening. So obviously they can be financial, time-based, or both. I think time is a lot of what we're seeing right now too, in different types of contingencies. So when the buyer and seller can't agree on the sale price, the other terms come into play. So closing costs, which are a little bit less than they have been lately, but I'm still seeing them. Closing date, that's super important. And so this is also when I ask, either if I'm representing the buyer or the seller, what is an ideal timeline for you? If somebody says, I don't care about the timeline, then I'm going to call that other agent and be like, listen, I'm putting in an offer. I'm going to put September 30th, but if we need to go up or back, we're cool. And I let them know that in advance. Conveyances, if that chandelier in the dining room is a deal breaker, do not let something like that. Either, first of all, ask. If you go in through a house, when you're doing a listing appointment, make sure window curtains, light fixtures, because literally I had one where there was window curtains and a light fixture. And then the buyer put all window curtains and light fixtures. And I was like, I called him up. I was like, dude, I put in the notes, no window treatments or light fixtures. He's like, oh, I didn't even read that. If I didn't read that, because I'm doing my job reading the contract. If I didn't read that, my clients would have been like, Winnie, what a stupid oversight of you. Now you're going to buy that chandelier for me, which I would have done because that would have been more than fair. Or I would, anyhow, you get what I'm saying. So the earnest money and option fee, option fee is less here, but earnest money, I will tell you, why would you want a higher earnest money or not care about the earnest money? Any
It's a
thoughts on
stronger
that?
commitment.
Yeah, more skin in the game, dude. I have a listing in Ladson, and the first deal fell through, and we got their earnest money because we were doing everything that they were supposed to do. I don't normally, usually it makes sense, but we got it that time. The next person put down, they were about to put down 500. I was like, nah, bruh. Nah, I'm just putting down 500 on this. Do you want this house? Then I need you to put down more, because I don't want somebody else to back out, because now I have to protect my seller because his feelings are hurt. His pride is hurt. Somebody backed out for no reason. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
You usually suggest the 1%.
I mean, I'm
If
not
it's 500,
sure.
if it's a $200,000 deal, would you say 2,000?
Yeah,
Or what do you
no, I
usually-
probably usually do a little bit less than that on a $200,000 deal, but sometimes you can. I would just say that would be what I wouldn't say that on the sell side. I would ask my clients on the buy side, be like, what do you feel comfortable with? So you would have to like know their finances. Now, I will say that I did call on this last one, like one had 1,500 earnest money down, one had 4,500. You better believe I called the 1,500 and I said, your deal is winning except for this. And they upped it. So because like I said, my seller's pride was hurt and he wanted to make sure nobody's going to back out for no reason. So they had more skin in the game. So it was a good example of when you can use that. And then repairs, which are just so much fun right now. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use negotiation tips to respond to common points. Okay, so I want everybody to get a new partner. So we are going to read through the list of negotiation tips. It's on page 6. Make sure that I know what this is. Okay. Read through the list of negotiation tips. Then what I want you to do is each of you pick one of these topics: the closing costs, closing date, conveyances, earnest money, or repairs, or price. Select one of those, and you're gonna write down on page 5 like what your main thing is. So then we're gonna brainstorm how to figure those, like how to negotiate past that topic. Does that make any sense whatsoever? No. So, okay, let's look even like number 2 on here. Your goal is a signed contract. Do your clients want the house? Yes, I assume. If price is the issue, what would you ask your clients to be able to go? If you're in a highest and best, like what would you say to your clients?
What's the highest you're comfortable?
Another way to say that would.
Well, how much are you willing to lose this house for?
That's the question. Great question. So, how did they? Sorry, I want to figure out like how in the world I didn't have this at the same time when I was looking at this. Okay, so you're going to pick a topic and you're going to say, what are each of the objections that you can combat each of those topics? So if it's price, okay, then let's suggest this, let's suggest this, let's suggest that. So for instance, I'll give an example for price. If price is the only issue, let's look at closing costs. You also need 2,000 closing costs. That means that that's actually lowering their sales price by $2,000. So let me write this out.
Come on.
If this is the offer price and they're asking for 5K closing costs, what is this seller getting?
You're getting it for
445.
445.
If I have another offer that's for 445, why wouldn't I just, like, these are the exact same. So that's when you would combat and you would say, okay, so say for instance, they're like, okay, I'll get rid of this. So now we're 5,000 over, but I want a home warranty and I want the window treatments.
Well, it's less than $5,000 worth of stuff.
Totally. But what if you have another offer over here that's also for 450 and they don't want this stuff? You would either
Depending
go
on
with
the
this
rest
one,
of the terms.
or you would say, hey, Mr. Buyer, if you want this home warranty and the window treatments, why don't we,
Pony up some more
that's
money.
probably gonna be about $1,000, so why don't we offer 451? Right? So it really is like you are kind of doing math. You know, our job has a little bit of math in it. So that's what I mean in terms of like countering where like, but also what if it's 450 and 450 and literally, well.
Now, are you talking about the buyer?
Well, if I were a seller, which one would I take? But then if I were a buyer, how am I gonna make this one look more attractive than this one, basically? And then at the end of the day, you do ask, Are these window treatments really that important? You know what, home warranties are kind of, yes.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe you've had a good experience with home warranties. Okay.
Anyone show of hands?
Has anyone worked with a home? I've never even worked with a home warranty.
I haven't, it took her
I
like
have.
4 times to get an HVAC fixed.
Okay.
I'm sure that there are some out there, I just haven't quite found it yet.
None of them.
Patty's shaking her head. Patty has more experience in the field than me too, so, you know, that's what we're saying. So what are some things that you can do to make any of these offers look more attractive? If you think about like the main terms,
I'll look at it real quick.
here, let's write down the terms and then you tell me
I think
like,
it's
please.
how to sweeten the pot for, from a buyer perspective, is how to sweeten the pot for the seller and be as small a pain in their ass as possible.
Is the seller's agent letting the buyer's agent know that that's what the other offer is?
Sometimes.
So then you don't know.
So, great question.
Or how do you know?
So whenever you're going through and you're the listing agent, so I work more with buyers, most people do, right? It's like usually at least 60-40, if not 80-20. So I'm gonna, literally my number one negotiation tactic out the gate is I call that agent and I'm their best freaking friend they have ever met in their entire life. They want to do business with me because I am cool, I'm laid back, I'm funny, I'm not joking, but like at
I
all.
love you being off, I'm cool.
I totally am cool.
And
So,
humble.
hey, I know my gifts. I know my gifts. Gracious, not my gifts. So literally I'm gonna call them up and I'm gonna be like, you know, yo girl, what's up? And I'm gonna say, hey, I have clients, they saw the house today, you know, do you have any offers? What does it look like? And you're gonna say, do you have any offers? How many showings have you had? What's most important to your client? What is their ideal? The same questions that you asked your client, you're gonna ask that seller's agent. You're gonna say, what's the best timeline look like for you? Why are they moving? The whole 9 yards. So you're gonna try to gain as much information as humanly possible from that agent. And believe it or not, some of them sing like mockingbirds, man. So I'm a singer. I'm gonna tell you, I put it out on the table because I know, believe it or not, some people are like, ooh, pride, I'm gonna keep everything secret. Dude, don't. I literally will be like, up your earnest money, $2,000 and I'll get you the deal.
What's the legal
Yeah.
like boundaries there? I mean, are we allowed to say like the other offers at 450 and
I usually don't say that. You have to ask, you can technically, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you can ask the clients their permission to share that. Is that correct?
You put out here.
so it's a fine line?
I know.
It is a super
If
fine
you're the seller and you have multiple offers, if your seller agrees that you can say what the offers are.
That's what I thought. I thought you
You're
can ask
free
permission.
to say what those offers are. However, is that the best strategy to use? No.
Yeah, I usually don't say
Yeah.
the
No
number.
listing
No.
agent worth their salt would ever reveal what the offers are, just from a business.
You would say,
practice
it's above
standpoint.
asking, it's
I was gonna
pretty,
say, can you say like, I have 3 offers that are above this?
yes.
Sure.
Because you're not getting specifics, you're
Right,
not
sure.
disclosing any confidential
And you can-
information.
Either way.
And you can even say, some of the terms are pretty good. I have a cash one.
Well, I also think too, I'm sure it comes into just your experience being in the market to understand, like, when a listing agent says, I've got 3 offers, you as a real estate agent, if you're working on the buyer side, has to then interpret what does that 3 offers mean, right? Like those 3 offers, realistically, is someone gonna come to me, is it just gonna be, like, one of them probably will just be straight off, like the offer or the.
One of them's gonna be a shit.
Right,
offer,
and
if
then the
not
other 2, you know, put one on the high side, put one on the, maybe on the medium side.
I always ask the listing agent too, do you represent one of those buyers? Because you know,
Oh, I
that's
never
always
thought about asking
That's a good
that.
question.
That's a great question to
Do they
ask.
answer?
It depends. There are some agents that sing, there are some agents where it's just like cricket. There are some agents that won't even, I don't tell you that, I don't tell you that. Like, I've literally just asked, you know, like.
You can say yes or no.
You know.
Like,
So
yeah.
each agent's completely different, but just keep asking questions because.
Do you find that the more difficult the listing agent is, the more difficult that sales can be?
I was gonna say.
Every,
Yeah.
1000%, yeah.
and that's once again why I say I'm cool. Like, mic drop.
Yeah,
I was like,
you don't wanna be that, sorry, that dick agent.
yeah.
Because if you're a dick up front, there's a high percentage that you're gonna need something from that agent that you were just atrocious to. And they're not gonna do it. Perfect example, just 2 seconds. I have a property under contract. It's an agent that I worked with in the past, and that's why I believe we were able to get the property without getting multiple offers. Inspections came through, she turned into a total psycho.
I got yelled at the first time
Continued
last
to
week.
move forward. And she's like, hey, can the sellers stay for 2 days after? Not a chance. Well, what do you mean? And you know, I didn't want to say you acted like a complete psycho. Like there's absolutely no way in hell we're gonna do you any favors. If she had been kind and generous and normal, 1,000%, take 2 weeks after closing, not a big deal. So you have to maintain.
It's a very do unto others.
Yes.
But also keep that in mind, you know, whenever you're trying to play hardball, like, is this for your ego? Or is this for your pride? Or is this because you're trying to get the deal closed for your clients? Because if you look bad, you're making your clients look bad. And also, what if you do a deal with them again? Because that happens if you make it past, you know, a certain mark. I'm gonna tell you, like, there's one agent, I put an offer another time, and I just called him ahead of time because he hated me at first. And I put an offer, I was like, yo, dude, we got this one, all right? Like, let's do this. Because, like, I knew he hated me because I was right also. But his pride was hurt. Totally fine. But, so that was, like, one example where, you know, call them in advance, build that rapport, especially in this market. And also, because of connections in this world, I think one of the things, a lot of people think, like, real estate, and I know I talk about this a lot. Like, this is a competitive industry if you want it to be a competitive industry. This is the competing we're doing. This is like the fun part, right? Negotiating. But this is about winning for your clients. This is about winning for you. And the more you are, I don't know, the more you realize that, like, realtors should not be against each other. The more we work together, the more likely it is that you're gonna get a smoother transaction, better customer service for your clients, and they're gonna refer you more. Duh, win, 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 win. So it's like, if you're an asshole and if that person doesn't wanna work with you, you know, like, then it's only gonna hurt you. Maybe not now, maybe you win in this transaction. Like, you won this battle, but you might not win the war, you know, because reputation is everything in this industry. And also, like there was one house that I put an offer in before the open house, it was listed, and I knew the agent well. I was like, I better freaking win this one. And I called him and I bugged the living shit out of him, and I won it. And I feel like it's likely because he was like, all right, let's get one agent. You know what I mean? So it's
She's
like,
cool.
she's cool.
It's so true though.
It is true.
It's so true.
I literally won a VA loan in West Ashley above asking, or no, it was right at asking, but it was like above what, you know, what the comps had said, because I called and they were like, I just get a good vibe from you.
I'll take it.
I will take that every day of the week because energy is everything, right?
Okay.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on. So we're going to talk about the 3 Ps. This is like going to seem self-explanatory, but we're going to dig into a little bit. So I do think negotiation is a skill that can be learned. That's why, like, you know, when we do practice this kind of stuff, like, practice with somebody that's going to be a hard ass, practice with somebody that's going to be pretty chill about it, practice with somebody that's going to throw you for a loop, you know, so that you have other experiences for, like, shooting off the cuff. Like, yeah, we're winging it, but we have tools in our toolbox in order to wing it better, right? So the 3 Ps are prepare, present, position. So preparation, obviously, the thing about preparation is it's going to build your confidence. Like, yeah, I get it. I wing it too. But the more I have all of the information in my toolbox, the more whenever somebody throws me a curveball, I'm like, oh, I got this, dude. So if you prepare, you're going to know your goal. You really need to know your client's goal at the end of the day. Like, what is most important to them? Like, for instance, like one of my listings lately, they wanted a family to move into their house. That's not really like my thing to deal with, but also, like, I knew that that was important to them. So just knowing that in advance. They didn't want, like, some people don't want, like, investments in or something like that in the neighborhood. So, or they really want to, you know, sell it. Maybe they don't want to do any repairs whatsoever. So you need to know like what their ideal scenario looks like. So obviously you're thinking ahead. So basically you're like, listen, I'm gonna like plan for the best, or like, what is it? Prepare for the worst and expect the best. So that's kind of what this is. You're gonna have like you're gonna have your tool belt, your arsenal is like totally full. You're gonna know everything about where that could go. Like where could the spider web lead? And you're gonna have thought all of these like places in advance so that whenever they're up, you're like, oh, I already know my clients well enough. I can go ahead and answer on their behalf. Or like, does that make sense? Obviously, we're gonna obey the laws.
Yes, we're gonna do it.
Just kidding. No, we really are. So.
She's marrying her buyers, disobeying the laws.
I know. Michelle and Jaime really appreciate it. I have their photos. So one of the things, obviously, you know, we talked, you know, Tim mentioned, you know, asking those open-ended questions and asking questions. So what additional information? Sometimes there's just like one other thing that they're like, oh, by the way, you know, they might not have seen it as important until you ask just one more question. They're gonna be like, oh, by the way, we're gonna be out of town next week. Okay, cool. You know, so like just asking more questions. And then also asking like what is important about those things for you. So like, you know, what's important about that light fixture not going, just in case somebody does ask, because I want to make sure, is this an expensive light fixture or is this your grandma's light fixture? How am I going to do this? Because if somebody says, hey, I'll give you an extra $500 and that light fixture was $250, you might consider it. So ask like, why is this light fixture really important to you, right? And another really great open-ended question, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? Great. Close-ended questions, and these are still, you know, the cool thing is like you need to be able to ask both questions. You need some finite, some black and white stuff, you know what I mean, to be able to represent your client the best. So do you have a specific date that you need to sell your home by? Yeah, I do, because I close on my other home on this date. Cool. So that is like hard and fast. So whenever I'm talking to that agent, I'm going to be like, they close on September 1st. So I need a double close on September 1st. If you can put that in the contract, that's a hard and fast, right? So asking those questions that are super specific. Also negotiating on the other side. Do you have any other offers? Are any of them cash? Are any of them VA loans? Are they repair procedure? Are they as is? These are all questions you can ask. They don't have to tell you, but you can ask these questions of the agent. So, and then what is the bottom line price you would consider? They probably won't tell you that, actually. Like,
Do you ask that?
no, I would never ask that. But I will say something like, so if I go like a couple grand over, like, and I'll literally say it in that stupid voice, like if I go a couple grand over, like, you'll be pretty good with that? They'll be like, yeah, we'll be pretty good with that. They totally, people literally like tell you so much. It's crazy. Yeah, who knew, right? So, all right, I think there's another section. Okay, so the better you are at asking these questions, it's going to be able to increase, obviously, your ability to negotiate and your ability to be able to pre-plan the route that this is going to go. So you're like, just like what I said during the buyer presentation, if they answer this way, then I'm like, okay, this is my next route. If they answer this way, okay, this is my next route, right? So, and then at the end of the day, we're trying to create a win-win. And the win-win isn't just for the seller and the buyer, it's also for the agents. And I don't mean like selfishly, but I mean like we need to all come out of this alive, right? Please and thank you. So I love these questions. What would happen if somebody were to ask for that chandelier in the dining room? Well, if they gave me $500 for it, cool. So now I know, right? And then obviously the what is important to you. We already talked about that. Let's see if we're going to do this or not. So, what would happen if? Actually, I am going to give you an example of what would happen if that just happened in my world. So we had solar panels, which are the devil. They're predatory financial scams in some companies, I'm sure. So basically, I said to my clients, listen, they were trying to renegotiate the solar panel lease. I think that's totally reasonable for them to try to do that. And I said, listen, if you're not able to, is this going to make or break? Is this a deal breaker? I ask that question a lot. Is that a deal breaker? Listen, if somebody wants that light fixture, is that a deal breaker? No, or yes. Like, and ask those questions. So that's where it's like, hey, are you willing to lose the house over the solar panel lease? No, we're not. Got it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and send over the addendum then for you to sign. Great. And same, I mean, you can also ask that of the agent on the other side too. Be like, listen, I know you asked for X. Is that gonna be a deal breaker for your clients? And they're gonna know. They're gonna say yes or no, because they ultimately want it to be a win-win. And they want it to go to the close table, in theory, just as much as you, unless the pride gets in the way, but in theory, just as much as you. So let's see. Okay, the next section is,
But if y'all do come across a property with solar panels, just speak, call me, call someone.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, solar panels are an interesting kind of added layer. So if you come across them, just make sure to
Yes.
Well, that's
Yeah, they
if
might
they're
not.
Paid off. Some of them are
Yeah,
paid
they are
off.
paid
Yeah, if they're paid off, they're actually, that's
Right, and if they aren't paid off, then that can go to the buyer.
Right.
And so they need to know that, and it can influence also the loan.
it absolutely can, yeah.
So there's a lot of.
Because if
dynamics
it's
involved.
$200 a month and it goes up 3% every year, that has to go into their budget, right?
Would that all be in the disclosure?
Yeah, so they would have to put in the listing, like, buyer to assume solar panel lease. Or if there's other sorts of leases, I don't know what other sorts of leases would be, a pool, yeah, something like that.
The
So,
solar panel lease too, that's negotiable. That's when
Yes.
your skills as a negotiator will come in, because if you don't necessarily want your buyer to have that if they can't even afford it.
Right.
You know, they miss out on the house, so.
Yeah.
That
Are there
could be
any pros?
negotiated as well.
any pros to solar panels? After they're paid for, I would say that they're actually a pro.
Becomes a problem when they're not paid for.
Yeah, it's whenever it's still a lease but that isn't it. You're right. That's absolutely a negotiation.
Right.
On that. So, okay, after you have prepared, you know every information, you know every little spider web possibility of like what could possibly happen. This is when you're going to present. So think presenting an offer. Presenting it to your seller or, you know, presenting it to somebody else. So I absolutely, like I said, call the other agent. That is probably one of the most important things ever. You're going to also pay attention to nonverbal cues. Let's be real, pauses and stuff like that, or like, and sometimes they start to say something and they're like, ooh, I wish I could take that back, but you still got to listen. So, and then definitely keeping quiet once you present the offer. Like that's one of those times where it's just like, shut up. And listening, you know, to like what's important to the other person. One of my personal favorites is staying calm and relaxed. Once again, cool girl. So, so I remember one of my coaches back in the day, she said to me, she said the person or the team that loses their cool loses.
Totally.
And I have noticed that every single time when somebody lashes, I am a cucumber. You have that hate and that fire in you because what do people do when they're fiery? Do they think straight?
No.
No, they act nuts.
Yeah, they're irrational.
Yes.
What do you want to be? Rational. Cucumbery. All of those things. So you can.
Keep your emotions between the lines.
Oh, that is a good
And
one.
I have to always tell myself that because I can get out at any point in time.
Do you guys want to see Patty get out?
Oh, God.
How do we hope that they are?
Voice raises,
Yeah.
you know, there's a little anger there. And
Yeah.
you're talking to an agent that they don't understand what they're doing or what they're saying
Yeah.
or something.
Or
So
they're
I'm
trying to
like,
bully you. That
Or-
happens
yeah,
a
they're
lot,
trying to
and that
bully you.
will happen as a new agent. They'll be like, "Oh, I have this much experience." I don't care, dude. Like, I don't.
Happened to
Like,
me
that's
last month, like it will always happen.
like good for you.
Right.
Yeah, like everybody thinks they're smarter, and the deal is like You might be, or they might be. And once again, it comes back to pride or ego. Like what is in the way here? Is their pride winning right now? Or is your resolve for helping your clients win right now? So, you know, you just have to really like kind of take a step back, you know, in that. So you're obviously like focusing on the customer's needs. And I absolutely see all the time where you can tell that it's a pride issue on the other side. And probably on my side too. I mean, no, totally on my side too, where I'm just like, no, I don't want to do that anymore because you were being a jerk. You know, so obviously keep that in check because at the end of the day, it's not about you. It's not your house. It's not your money. So we are, you know.
And it's not your agenda.
Yeah.
You're a facilitator
Right.
between the buyer and the seller, and it's their agenda.
Yeah.
And I, you know, a lot of times have to say, Patty, this is not your agenda.
Yeah.
This is their agenda. Stay out of it in certain ways.
Yeah. I think.
But it's easy for agents to think it's their agenda and pull it their way.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not our agenda. We're facilitating a deal between a buyer and a seller.
You are a middleman.
Their agenda.
You are the middleman.
Exactly.
So remember, it's a practice, you know, too. So I know one of the like first pieces of advice I got when I moved to KW was this guy up in Mount Pleasant, and he said to me, he's like, it doesn't matter if it's a good deal to you. It doesn't matter if the numbers make sense to you. It doesn't matter if the house is cute to you. It only matters, do they like it? Is it of value?
Yes.
And then it's your job to get it to the other side. And that really, really helped me because I like numbers. So I literally look at numbers and I'm like, this isn't worth more than 235. But then I'm like, oh, the market's saying 265. And I'm like, eh. So like you can kind of freak out during that kind of thing. The question is, what is the amount that would hurt your feelings if you lost this house? You know, if you're in that scenario, right? You know, and are they able?
Are you able? Yeah. Are they?
Ready and willing? Because you know, sometimes you might just need to be like, all right, I'm gonna gracefully bow out. Thank you so much, you know, for allowing me to present this, you know? So any ahas so far about how to present and prepare?
The main thing is calling the other agent and essentially interviewing them. Don't just send an offer through and then a text,
Rude.
"Did you get my offer?" It's just, you're doing yourself and your client a disservice.
Massive. Yeah, I agree. One more. Y'all knew everything.
So that's something I did in my previous job on chart training. We always talked about charting your path. And like a lot of this is the same, like going in with a game plan.
Yeah. I love that.
And just
Not-
don't be the tweaky agent. Don't be the spazzo. Keep your cool and be
Yeah.
nice and be kind because you are gonna just
Be cool,
interact
that's fine.
with that other agent again.
Yeah. I mean, I have blacklist agents.
I did too, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah, we're not recording. No. Okay. I'll tell you, I got no problem with it. I don't know if it is, but, okay, so we're gonna go into how to position. So you're gonna ask what and how question examples. So, and I think we kind of went over this, but you know, like, why is that important to you? How do you expect that to work for you? So, and then I love this part. If your client becomes a defensive, explain. I think that if you have the report and you're like, hey, I just want to make sure in advance, you can kind of like front load it. Like, hey, I just want to make sure that I have all the information up front. So the 30-day close, tell me a little bit about why that's important to you, so that, you know, if they do ask, I already know how to answer. Nobody's going to get defensive over that. So it does have to do with a rapport and also like how you word that. So my goal is to let the buyer know what's important to you. And understanding what is important to the other party allows you to prioritize and address. So, you know, some of the negotiation, like you're doing some of it sometimes without consulting back because you already know all the information up front, because you've already prepared, you've already asked all of the questions. So once again, this is so that there isn't as much back and forth. One of the things, you know, the goal for us is to make a smooth transaction. This is a challenging process no matter what. It's annoying. Like, can you imagine like, you know, being on the other side of this and like somebody's stressing you out about it, like this is a super stressful thing. Like our job is to make it smooth, tight, cool, chill, like, and let them know that there's going to be hiccups, because there always are. So then, but if you know all the information up front, you do your buyer consult really strong, you know, and you know your seller's goals really, really well, then you don't have to go back and forth and be that, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? Like, how annoying is that if you're trying to have a stress-free transaction here? So I love that. Okay, let's see. I think we're going to do this one. Okay. Oh, I'm supposed to give an example about when I have walked away from the table. I walked away from the table one time on the appraisal came back and the square footage was totally different. It was like 300 square foot different. Don't get me wrong, like it's kind of a big difference. Now it's a big house neighborhood, so it wasn't like massively different. But at the end of the day, like when the appraisal came back, which 300 square foot difference, the value wasn't there anymore. So, you know, you really, I mean, that one was a simple, non-emotional one, but you know, sometimes they are more emotional ones. Can anybody give an example of like an emotional one when they just have to walk away from the table?
You're saying you as the representative, as the agent walk away from it?
Well, you as in your unit, you and your client.
After you put in an offer, or what? What do you
Yeah, after you put in an offer, where you feel like you have to.
If it's accepted, it's hard to walk away. I mean, there are some terms and stuff, but.
Yeah.
Well, the example
What
that
are you
I
talking
gave
about?
of the agent that turned into a psycho, you know, everything was great up front. I had a existing relationship with her. She had actually sold that house like 3 sales prior, so she knew the house inside and out. Come to find out, the buyers, they keep the thermostat on like 65, which I love, but during the inspection, I was like, man, it's cold. So during the year the year that they have owned the house, the condensation from running the AC at that rate, it annihilated the crawl space.
Yep.
And so we got our inspection and it was 60% moisture reading. I had never seen that, maybe like 27.
I've seen, yeah, like 28, yeah.
So the crawl space was just a mess. So
Ew, it was like a swamp under there.
yeah, so my people were like, oh my gosh, like this is irreparable. So we submitted a repair to them, rightly so. The CO100 was not clear. And the sellers kind of freaked out. We're like, we're not doing, you know. And so our buyers were like, what? You know, the floors were spongy, the ductwork, like everything. So we were kind of at an impasse. So I had the release prepared, and then, you know, after everyone just kind of chilled out for about 6 hours, like everyone came back together. But yeah, they were ready to walk.
Yeah. And we didn't talk about like negotiation during repairs just yet, but that is a really big, I think that's worse. I think that's worse than like putting a super nice offer together. I think is easier than putting a repair addendum together. And I think one of the things is really understanding what are your obligations and picking your battles.
Yeah.
Because the deal is like on a repair addendum, for instance, like, listen, a rubbing door jamb, that's not part of the repair procedure. But if that person really wants that, can you get a handyman in there to like knock that out real quick so that it doesn't ruin your deal?
Mm-hmm.
Just because sometimes some agents get super, they're like, well, this isn't part of repair procedure. Dude, I get it. But like, I'm still gonna ask. Because some sellers are going to do that work. They're going to be like, oh my God, you know what? I've been meaning to, they're going to feel guilty, right? They're going to be like, oh, I've been meaning to fix that door jamb for 5 years. I'm so sorry. It's so annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're going to feel it. So don't make assumptions that you know, like how they're going to react to that. So whenever you get these, and like I did a pre-inspection for a listing I have coming up downtown. On Meeting Street, plug. And she literally saw the inspection and she's like, this is terrible, my house is falling apart. I'm like, no girl, this is like 2 days worth of a handyman in here. So making sure like and softening like what they need and just being like, listen, these are the things that you are obligated to do if you want this deal to go through without, you know, and like you having the opportunity to keep the earnest money if they decide to go away. But also, these are some battles that you might choose to go ahead and acquiesce to. So I literally always pick, and even when I put a repair procedure together, I put a couple of annoying things in there, and then I put the big things in there. Because I want them to say no to the annoying things, because I want them to do the big things, right? So that's, once again, just a negotiation strategy. So hopefully that makes sense. I know we didn't talk about that too much, but is everybody pretty clear on that? Cool. Okay, so I do want to do this exercise on page 12. So choose a partner, switch. I want everybody to switch up partners. I want you to read the scenario, and I want each of you to kind of figure out and like give some strategies on what you would do if you were the buyer's agent versus the listing agent. I'm going to give you 3 minutes on each side.
How do you?
Alicia,
What's the scenario?
Yes.
The buyer.
I thought this was great, because you already know.
I don't know anything, you're always talking about here.
let's put page 12. So 3 minutes on each side, go.
So just review the course, present your case. Okay. 350. I know.
Or which one do you want to do? What do we pick? Who's gonna do what?
Yeah, pick who.
It was so quiet.
You read that.
Listing agent.
I will be the listing agent.
Okay.
You can be the
Kind of thing with the
The goal is to create a win-win. So you like based on that scenario, how are you going to create a win-win?
Okay.
This is confusing. So the scenario is the property,
Basically, the property needs carpet. It's
Needs
priced a certain
carpet.
way.
In a new garage, go for that.
but then the buyer's, so is the buyer's agent role a part of the scenario? Or is that a separate thing?
Yeah, you can read the buyer's.
Yeah,
Yeah, you read like what your background is on each side. So if you're the buyer agent, right, the buyer agent,
One of us is the listing
Got
agent.
it.
All like,
and you're gonna base on this. But the scenario both of you read, the buyer agent, one of you reads, the listing agent, the other one of you reads.
So I'm standing my ground is what if.
Love the
just
house.
another day in the life.
I'm getting an offer. So I'm planning to get the offer.
Okay.
340.
Now that I've seen this, we're not gonna
They're
switch,
pre-approved.
so just stay.
The buyers would like to close in the shortest time possible since they're moving.
Okay,
They
so
need a home for their family. Since they're.
140, and then we're gonna reject it, right? Okay. So this is that.
And then create a win-win.
Okay, so we're asking.
Or-
So win-win probably be,
Okay.
Yeah, like, is it, what's the?
in the middle, probably.
So from what I gather, my sellers have time.
Let's say
They're
you're.
not in a rush.
Uh,
Wanting to give all the clients to our daughter who's in the floors. So clients that are not, available. And then they will not be coming until they go back to her house. And also they would like to get the photo as soon as possible. Ready to stand up.
Carpeting for the UPT clients there.
Okay, so we have to come up with a negotiation.
And remember, ask discovery questions.
What's that?
Remember to ask discovery questions so that you can then create that.
I guess.
We have to talk about how we can come up with.
What is the most
totally
important
understand.
thing
How
for
we
you?
can.
I appreciate you sharing why they wants.
So, appliances,
Not include the appliances, so that
you
seems
could
like
take
it's
it
very
absolutely
important on them.
appliances, sellers, so
However,
if your
if
daughter's
our
first
price
board,
points
but I
are
tried
up
to
and
get
down,
your daughter's add-ons are appliances,
Maybe give it to
you know,
towards closing
It
costs.
seems like that
maybe there's a
and.
way that we can, I can talk to our clients and
Right,
figure
exactly.
out,
They came with 350.
a way that we
So
can
yeah,
price
work that
point
out.
a little bit and
Would you
include that for your daughter.
willing to,
Would you be okay if
I mean, that's an option.
I negotiate that with them,
Your
and
question
then I
would
get back to you?
would you be
That's
willing
like, yeah,
to
but you need to put it in. Refrigerator.
add carpet and
Dishwasher.
carpet allowance.
yeah, carpet allowance?
Unless you get like something.
What's your next
Yeah. A nice refrigerator's easy.
Okay, so 5,000
Estimate.
So 5,000 per appliance.
But then it's
cost
awesome.
price.
Yeah.
And then the appliances.
So it says they would like to get all their appliances,
But that means they're sold on
And then maybe.
so if they
allow
add
it.
three,
I guess what I'm
45,
You have
so leave the appliances, you get 5,000 cash to go.
So
They can do that too.
To me as a listing agent, I have to
When are your sellers closing
Yeah.
down?
seller.
Yeah, so this is already presented to you. So 640,
Okay, so they're already
Which is
closing,
great.
wanna get there.
the shortest price possible. It's
So,
Removing our
the same, like,
As
it's
an
the
individual,
shortest time, but it
do you
doesn't mean
have
that
any
it's
other offers on the table?
So that would be in your favor too. They will not be moving it
Sticking
forward.
their ground regarding the price, that would be
Any cash deals or anything?
a lot of sellers.
Well, and
So
so they
that's
would
why
get
I think
that
it's
order.
like-
So that's the compensation to.
Okay.
So let's take 350.
You know, my buyers
So
are
they're
really about this
right,
stuff,
right.
I know that you guys are asking and that we're asking a lot from you, but let me go tax and.
And that's one of the reasons that they would like to not
What they want to do.
Right, right.
I see this.
I know, but
It's not budgeting until they've sold their
Mhm.
people,
Writing letters.
sometimes people want to see 350.
Because I think
Because I don't see
because
them
the sellers
redoing the carpet
raise
throughout
their
the day.
standards.
That's like a
Yeah.
whole
So,
job.
yeah, so your first couple transactions.
Right, 2-minute warning, 2-minute warning.
Yeah, no, I would agree.
But
with
yeah,
that.
all right, it does all shake out the same way.
It's interesting, you know, it's
Right.
just
350.
Yeah.
Sellers,
So mine,
But I mean, by the time you get new carpet.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, that's what
Okay,
I'm
so we're
saying.
right. I guess, yeah.
size of the house,
Yeah.
not much more, 5 grand.
They're gonna wanna check it out themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Win, win, win.
How do you want the credits? Like, how do you just?
All right, let's start tightening it up.
So the buyers are
I mean,
that.
Well, I think I definitely need to do, like you said, 5,000.
reason why we don't
clients, and then another
Because
chapter right now.
because they would like to. so
This
it's
one
not
right
even
now
like-
where,
So if it feels 350.
it's not urgent, I think it's a seller.
It's a carpet credit for the first floor, usually.
It's like $5 a square foot.
Would you negotiate that, or, because your buyers are gonna pick that up themselves,
Yeah,
right?
so I think that the negotiation.
I know we're not gonna do it.
buyers should be-
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Or you could say, I'm gonna do it the cheap way and do it for $3 a square.
And then asking for the new carpeting
No.
and then.
It's way better for the buyer to put it in themselves.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, they are
Because
willing,
they're.
so then that's what you're
Understand that.
Yeah.
that's what I was.
All
thinking.
right, let's go ahead and wrap up.
So,
Yeah.
so credit for the.
And 3, 2, 1. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So somebody shout out, how did you create a win-win?
Win.
Win. All right, tell me.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, we spoke about let's see where we're at here. A credit for carpeting and credit for appliances as well. And we stuck at 350.
Okay, so you stuck at that actual one.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything different?
So the seller is giving the credit?
Correct.
So he's not making $350.
This is
Well,
not,
it said the number
They-
is, it said the number is important.
The
The
350.
number. So
Yeah.
they're getting the number.
There's
So not
specific
saying they
number.
got their
Give them
number,
credit.
so they
Right.
got their number.
We
They're
said the
not
same
getting that,
thing,
they're
but
getting
just
the
to
credit
quite
for the
close.
$1,000 for
since
parking
they-
or whatever.
Okay,
Well, it-
okay.
Because I don't think people don't always, a dollar amount means something to people. People don't instantly quantify items. Like they're not quantifying.
Right.
They're
They're
looking at carpet as
What
carpet,
they're
not as a
thinking is,
dollar.
great, my appliance, so to go to my daughter, I get the $350. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what stuck out to me. But
Because the
yes,
appliances, for whatever reason, were super exciting.
yeah, so great.
And if they raise their
It's
family, they're
technically the
super
same
cool.
thing as the closing
I
costs.
know, I know.
I would be like,
But
do you
maybe
wanna
it all
close your-
shakes
do
out.
you wanna
All
close
shakes
your, do
out
you wanna
the
wash your
same.
clothes in someone else's dirty underwear water?
What else?
I never thought of it like
What else?
I
Yeah.
have a question, so.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
in
a
this-
weirdo.
In this scenario on the roll, would it almost, I mean, because on the buyer side agent, they never even brought up the door or the carpet. Like, they're just saying that, you're saying the scenario, you've seen it, you're saying, okay, well, the door's screwed up and it needs more new carpeting, but the buyer is not even mentioning any of that. So would it be
Great
really
observation, the buyer might
need
not.
to not even bring it up? I mean, just to say, hey, look, like, the biggest thing here, for whatever reason, is the gamma appliance. Like, it
Yeah.
seems-
We used it as like so we used it as a, like, to justify getting to the 350 is by saying, okay, you know, when we toured the home, the carpet needs replaced throughout and we need to replace or repair the garage door opener. If we're getting to the 350, we need allowances for, like, we need allowances for those things.
Okay,
Well,
so that is one option.
No, then, well, I'm sorry, we priced the house accordingly, taking those factors into
Well, no, you didn't.
absolutely, yeah. Well, the deal is
But
that,
based on the 3 offers you
But you
have,
have 3 offers
the
on it.
buyers aren't seeing the value in the house.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a conversation you need to have with your sellers, because the house is only worth what buyers
does
are
that
willing
make
to pay.
sense? Because
We
there's
have
3
3
under.
buyers that are basically telling you that it's not worth $350, and I'm not getting it.
Oh, what are the 3 buy? Oh, I missed that part.
Oh, so
No, but these are all really good points, and I like John that you said that you identified the buyers don't give a shit about anything but the appliances. So now we've narrowed it down. It's like, what is the
That's
most
the big
important thing?
Absolutely what it is.
And then we discussed the fact that the sellers raised their family there, and this is a couple moving with their family to nail in with the author to the emotional tie of it being their family home.
Submit a letter.
So the continuation of like the legacy of the home. We
Are they?
tied that.
Not
in.
yet, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Pulling on heartstrings?
I just read them in advance to make sure that they don't
Letters,
know.
no.
Why
You
not?
may wanna let them know.
Are you for real?
Yesterday was all about writing
There's-
letters.
Oh,
They just talked about writing
Yesterday was
letters.
literally all
Oh,
about
yeah.
writing letters.
Any way to get the deal. So buyer letters not good?
You just need to make sure that the
They might
letter
not have
doesn't
someone South
doesn't
Carolina.
affect any
They must have just
fair
changed
housing.
because it was, okay.
You had a question.
Well, so one of the things that was said, I think also probably hit on this, if they've got 3 offers, which means that they're all underneath, so they're not getting the asking price, they're not gonna get the price of 350, realistically. Flat out just be like, look, like, is it, like, are you willing to lose this deal over a $2,000 refrigerator? Like, or, you know, obviously.
You,
Yeah.
But like, are you, you
Yeah.
know, we've got an offer on the table right now, it's better than any of the offers that we've gotten. Are you willing to lose it over a refrigerator?
That's a
Dirty
perfect
underwear
question.
water.
And so you can go back and ask your client
Yeah.
that.
Different with it, all this stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
are you willing to lose $340,000 over?
that's a very legitimate question. And sometimes the answer is yes.
Yes.
So, because, you know, it's not us, right?
Right.
Rational, logical, calm, cool cucumber, you know, sometimes that isn't it, right? It is an emotional experience. So, but that's, yeah, absolutely.
So back to the letters, whether they're legal or illegal,
Okay.
as a practice, real estate, the entire practice is about covering your ass and not doing anything that could potentially come back and get you sued. A letter, it's fine if people submit, if you get one, but in my last brokerage, letters were not, like, you run from the hills with those. You do not send a letter with the offer. You don't send a picture.
Oh, no, you definitely don't send a picture.
Don't, but families of protected status, like,
Well, the only thing that you're allowed to say is, the house is pretty, the staircase is pretty, the yard is pretty. Like, the only thing that's like really what you're allowed to say is,
No, but like for a so
Compliment.
buyer, it just run. Do not submit a letter, stay away from letters.
Yesterday was, yesterday was
Yeah.
literally drilled into our
I
head.
know.
Get them to write letters to
Oh
the
my
press,
God.
do a PowerPoint. I'm not saying that. That's
We're not gonna
I'm
stop.
just saying, yesterday was about PowerPoint
I guess I'm
presentations and like having them do letters and.
It's probably preference, some of it, I mean.
I think it is preference, and the deal is that some people, some agents won't accept them, some agents will accept
I've
them.
only received one letter in 15 years. It's
Oh,
not a
God.
common practice.
I just had a deal where I received 2 letters.
Yeah, I had a
What if
deal
you
where I
have,
received
you
one.
have like from agent to agent, can you be like, you know, you shared with me that this is their family home where they raise their family. This is a young family looking to
Yeah,
build their family in this home. That way, it's verbal, it's not in writing.
I understand your side of it because again, it's very, like, there are certain
Dude,
Or
privacy.
just
everything-
stay away from
Everyone's
it.
offended, everyone is a victim, everyone's a minority. If you have any, just don't, I mean, y'all do what you want, but I don't.
So, but I
you
think. I think-
can't, you just can't talk about any of the protected
I
classes.
think what Tim's saying is like, when you're talking to your agent, when you're talking to the other agent, you can miss, I absolutely share.
So why are they moving? They got
Yeah,
pregnant,
Yeah, their family, stuff like that, but I.
you know,
I-
they're
I-
upsizing,
I feel like I would-
you know? Okay, let's keep going so that we can finish at a normal time. Okay, we're gonna talk about counter tactics. Okay, we're gonna talk about hot potato, good guy, bad guy, and nibbling. 3, 2, 1.
It's like,
You kind of learn how to negotiate over here.
So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna talk about some negotiation tactics and basically so that we can identify them. So I want you, so somebody read A.
For a concession in return for agreeing to each other. Where's that?
What do you think, based on the left-hand side, what does that sound like that is? Hot potato, good guy, bad guy, or nibbling? And no, I know that you don't know what all those words mean, but just make a guess.
nibbling.
Ask for a concession in return before agreeing to any further. If you know what that is.
Maybe hot potato, like, I don't know.
Okay.
That would potentially be, I guess.
So, well, let's read the next one. So somebody else read B for me. I think honestly, these are not my favorite ways to put these, but I will help let you know.
Okay, B, test the validity, find out if the problem is real. Has the party with the problem exhausted every possible solution?
Cool. Somebody read C.
Call them on their game. If it continues, then attribute what the bad guy says to the good guy, since they are a tag team anyway. This likely will diffuse the tactic because you now have 2 bad guys.
So I'm gonna say
B
C
is
is good
nibbling.
guy, bad guy.
Yeah, that one's pretty easy.
Yeah.
C's goodbye, bad
I
guy.
think D's nibbling and
Yeah.
A is hot potato.
Yeah.
Yeah, A is hot potato. So basically, it's like tit for tat. That's how I feel like the hot potato is. It's like, yo, you do this, I'll do this. You do this, I'll do this. Super great strategy. That's literally what I do with repair requests. That's why I put in a couple of extra things on there that's bullcrap, right? Or that's less important. Not sorry, not recording, but it's less important, right? Because I want them to reject that because I want them to say yes to these other things, right? I'm picking my battles.
Has it ever backfired?
Yeah, where they're like, oh, this is too many things.
Is there a
read
certain
it?
amount of things you should put on there? Is there ever too many or?
The whole thing, and I've
Oh.
gotten it back.
Yeah.
I've gotten it. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, you can do that, but I think it's important
It's
to
rude.
explain.
Yeah.
It is rude. It's important to your buyer to let them know that legally, according to paragraph 8, they
Yep.
only have to do the heating, the plumbing, the
Make sure the
electrical,
roof
the
is free of
structure,
leaks.
the environmental, if there's problems, and if they're not operable. If they're
Yeah.
working, but maybe not exactly working, but if they're working. then-
Operable, not optimal.
That's what makes it so difficult. So you kind of prep them
How's that
ahead
hurting
of time
anything?
and say, you know,
Right.
according
It
to
ain't
that, what would you like to ask for?
Yeah.
These repair things. And they might say, I like all of them. okay, well, you recognize, they don't have to legally do this. But if you wanna ask all of them, I'll be happy to write it up for you.
Yeah, and then you can also
But
just
you're
let them know.
prepping
they
them,
might-
so when they come back and say, hey, this isn't in paragraph 8, they don't have to do this, and this, and this, they're already okay, so they don't go berserk on you.
They're like,
I don't
all right,
want
well,
it
you
anymore. They're not doing this."
told me they were probably not gonna do that, so okay.
Yeah, and legally they don't.
Yeah, exactly.
And the agent's not gonna, but the seller's not gonna like throw it out just because you put those things inside there.
That's when pride comes into play. Because some seller agents will be like, can't even believe you asked me for this. It's not even part of repair procedure. Dude, just
But then
ask,
some
come
fix all
on,
of it.
man. Yeah, some of them fix the door jamb rubbing, which has nothing to do with,
That's true.
you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna ask for it. I don't, and yeah, I know it's not under repair procedure. I read the paragraph too, brah. But like, this is what my client is asking for. And you can tell me no, because I know the law, but you can also do it because we're picking our battles here. And at the end of the day, do you want this to go to the close? Like, that's really it. You know what I mean? It's like, and you can even say, be like, listen, my handyman said it's probably only about this much. You know, like if y'all want to do a credit instead, that's totally cool with us. I can get my handyman in there.
Can you tell us what you would have done in this scenario?
In this scenario, I would have been like, I would have found out in the first place if the appliances weren't going, I would have put it in the listing, or I would have said, rip those suckers out, go to Facebook Marketplace, put some new appliances in the first place, and let this not even be an issue. I literally just had my client buy
If
a
you were the
dishwasher.
buyer?
No, if I were the seller. I would have said,
No, we're
take those
saying
appliances.
if you were the buying agent.
If I were the buying agent, I would ask them to give me a credit then.
Okay.
Yeah, I would, absolutely. And I don't know if I would have gone up to the 350. I would have figured it out. Like, try to figure it out, like where the other two offers were. So calling them on their game, calling them on their bluff, right? Because some people they're full of shit, right? And there's a phrase also, buyers are liars. And so, I know, you're like, what? So that's why you ask more questions and why you build rapport so that you can read what's happening, because they might be like, yeah, it's fine, because like it's a little bit of a bravado thing that they're putting up, you know what I mean? And they might be scared out of their minds, dude. Or they might be like, well, that door rubbing or these appliances are like totally a deal breaker. And it's like, so their pride might be coming into play as well, pride or ego, right? And then, yeah, good guy, bad guy. This is sometimes how you can, I don't say like play this, but I mean, this is a real estate practice, right? So, if somebody's like, listen, I get it, the door jamb, not under repair procedure, and I'm playing good guy here. My client's really, that's like a sticking point for them, literally. And
We don't want the deal to get jammed up.
we don't want this deal to get jammed up. Totally, yeah, that was better. So, just like literally like putting your cards on the table. That's why like I feel like ego and pride, if you're an agent, is only actually hurting your clients. Like, especially, and it also depends on how you present it. You could still have ego and pride and like, but if you present it in a way that sounds like you're like, this would just be so helpful, then like, believe it or not, they actually can oftentimes do it.
Are you also, I was assuming too, a lot of it has to go with the market. But right now, I would assume
That's
that
a
with
very good point.
buyers that, in this market, if buyers are like, well, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do, like, look, man, these houses are sitting on the market for a few hours, like you
My
asked.
solar panel one had another offer, same price,
Yeah.
and they accepted mine. So I was like, are these solar panels a deal breaker? Because they'll put it back on the market and sell it in a second.
Yeah.
So that's why either you're gonna sign this addendum, which I don't want them to do. Like, I was pissed because I think solar panels are like, it sounds like it's a good thing, right? So, so like I was pissed. I was like, it sucks that, but now I know. So cautionary tale, lease solar panel. But, so yes.
And so are you seeing that sellers are a lot more like on the not defensive side, but just like more kind of saying like, no, I don't need to do this. I can. Why should I replace the door jamb?
It depends on the area, it depends on the price point, and it depends on the type of client. So for instance, like, maybe more high-end houses or maybe you know, like more starter homes. Like it does depend on kind of the area of town too. But it does really depend on the market but also the market is going back up. Let me just tell you, any sellers or seller agents that were assholes, your time is coming. So, because it'll be a buyer's market again one day. I don't really know when we're in Charleston, but I mean, it's going up already. The other thing that's happening though that I'm seeing, you know, I don't know if others are seeing it, is like we're selling houses. And then, like I said, the buyers are so spooked because they had to make a decision in 2.5 seconds, and then they're backing out because they're asking for everything. And they're like, well, they should give me everything. No, they shouldn't. Like, this isn't how this works. Either you want it in the first place or you didn't. But also that goes back to setting those expectations and having really, really clear. Just be like, listen, we're going to ask for these things. They're probably not going to give it to us. I got a handyman. Don't you worry. My guy, John, he'll take care of it for you. And that's the service that you're going to be able to provide in a super scary market like this. Just be like, dude, toilet's $50 to fix. It's fine. I got you, boo. You know, like fix it for me. Who cares?
You would actually offer to like pay for it?
If that was
Like,
probably not, you know, in that instance, but I'd be like, I'll get my guy John there. And that's all they want. They just want to know that they got a guy, right? It's our job to be the guy or know the guy.
Is there any legal ramifications if you were to pay for them to fix it?
Great question. I wish Alicia were in here for this so that I don't talk out of my ass. I have paid for things outside of closing under a separate addendum that the lawyer has seen.
But that needs to be made. I'm assuming it's gotta be.
It has to be in a separate addendum. That the other party isn't even gonna see it. It's between me and my client. The other party is not privy to it, right?
Like if you're paying for the inspector.
Yeah, like if I paid for the inspector, or like one time I paid for, because it was my lender's fault, so I split with my lender. The moving company had to come a week later for the seller, and I was representing the buyer, so I paid for half of the moving, whatever. But that was done outside of it and with a separate contract. Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, I could have been like, no, I'm not going to pay for it, and then Kelly and Matt wouldn't be living in their house.
Right.
So what's like $400 versus them getting in their first home?
Mm-hmm.
There are ways to do it. Consult your attorney. How about that? That's the answer. CYA. Okay. All right. I don't think we really need to do this. Oh, good. We're at the end. We made it. I was trying to keep it tight. Okay. Okay. We still have like one more thing to do. So really what we talked about today, we talked about the common points of negotiation, the price and the terms. Remember, tell me a couple of terms real quick that we can negotiate. Shout them out.
Closing date,
Closing date.
earnest money.
Earnest money. Appliances, yes, great. Conveyances, yes. Go on.
Repairs.
Repairs, yep, absolutely. Financing terms, you can even call that lender and be like, yo, I see this as an FHA, but they're putting 7% down. Do you think you can figure out how to make this conventional? That's happening right now. Call up that lender, vet that lender, talk to them. Some people.
Does all this have like, I guess it's in everybody, does this all this have like a list of like vendors and people that have?
Yes. Yes, Laura probably has access to that vendor list. Also ask anybody, and also ask in the Facebook group. That's probably the best way to get it quick. Because all of us are like, our people are vetted, so we're happy to share that information with you. Matt and Ellie, they're mine. Ellie Mason, Caliber. Matt Miras, CMG. He also is like an affiliate with the office, Matt Miras. So Jen Stout, USDA loans. So Premier something. The 3P is preparing, presenting, positioning. What is the most important thing about why you're preparing? Or what are some important things about why you prepare?
So you don't look like an idiot.
Love
Yeah.
that.
Save time,
Save time, yes. How does it save time?
because you're not backtracking. You're not doing double
Yeah.
duty on stuff.
Going
that if
back
you
and
asked
forth.
a couple simple questions in the onslaught, you wouldn't have.
Love it. What is the thing that, you know, realtors, we get into this, right, for flexibility and money, right? If we're literally on the phone like 24/7, is that really creating a life by design? Is that what KW wants us to create? No, we want a life worth living, legacy is worth leaving, blah, 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 all that kind of good stuff, right?
So it's like not building a great relationship.
Yeah, it's like, oh geez, this is your first rodeo. Which it will be, don't get me wrong, you're gonna screw up, by the way. You're gonna fail forward. I screw up all the time. And then we learned about some counter tactics. What would you say, I'm hoping that you get, what do you not want to get in your way so that you can negotiate a better deal?
Pride.
Yay! That's literally, if I had just said that, that would have been like my #1 goal here. Okay, so I want you guys to tell me your ahas and your action plan based on this. In the meantime, I'm gonna pass out a survey and I want you to tell me how awesome I was.
She's so cool.
Really cool. Way cool.
Do you
Ahas and success plan.
do you use the tagline that you can
Negative.
Oh, I like that.
I know, I did consider it.
you did?
No, I'm way too hipster for that, but yes.
Because the first time I met Vince, he's like, my last name's Flo, he's like, you gotta use go with the flow. I was like, I'm not nice. I'm not nice.
Let's go get his card.
No, but my tagline does say that I'm authentic.
Should say I'm cool.
I know, I shouldn't say I'm cool. Or like a badass mofo. Like I would totally say that. So if you want to pass that around, all right, action steps and ahas.
I don't know.
Okay, how are you going to learn more about negotiation?
I am going to talk to some other agents and kind of pick them up.
Yeah.
To be like, hey, because when you guys were talking about credits, I'm like, credits? What? Where'd that come from?
Cool.
So, yeah.
I mean, anytime you get or receive an offer, like reach out to one of us. I mean, this is your crew, right? You know? And so this is your crew. So like use us as a resource. That's like why we're here. That's why Ignite. That's why KW, you know?
Thank you.
What else? Action plan and aha.
I want to get my vendor list going because I'm not doing this full time right now. I'm having to do it part time.
Yep.
So for me, a lot of it, I've got to speed up everything.
Yep.
So
You're going to be more efficient.
Yeah, I need that.
It's a blessing.
Preparation.
Yep. Get that vendor
And
list
action
together
plan.
and shoot me a text and I can send you a couple of my people. Okay. Or put it on Facebook. Like I said, like our Facebook group, like
Yeah,
we'll be like,
I just
Big
saw
jump
someone
in.
posted about like a renovation.
exactly. So if you completed one survey, that's for the other one. I know there's like 2 surveys. I'm like, how annoying is this? 934. All right, give me more ahas from
I think just,
negotiating.
like figuring out like how, like what you're gonna say and like how you're going to present yourself and, you know, make it work for you, like be your authentic self. And so like you're cool with all of them and you build that good rapport, which once again keeps your business flowing.
Yeah, because referrals can be within agent to agent referrals, but literally like say for instance, there's somebody that rocks land deals better than me. If I'm bros with them, I can refer that land deal to them if it's out of my breath or if I'm too busy at that point.
Yeah.
So like, you know, creating those relationships as realtors and also within your clients. I think a lot of times people are like, oh, agent to agent stuff, it's so like transactional. It's like I talk to you and then I'm never going to talk to you again. Like that's a disservice.
Yeah.
It's a disservice first and foremost to you, but it is a disservice for your future clients as well.
Maybe not putting my personal stuff on my
Yeah.
client, like not assuming like, oh, you know, like you were saying, like, oh, I don't think this house is worth that. Well,
Totally.
if my client loves it and that's where they want to be.
What if
and
that
it's worth
parquet
it to
flooring is
them,
exactly what their grandma
Yeah.
had?
Exactly.
Meanwhile, I'm like, I would rip that shit out, you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
So not putting my stuff on.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a massive part of this. It's like ego is the enemy. There's a book. You can read it.
Front loading and managing expectations, like
Yep.
up front. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, that is really, really important. Front loading the questions so that you know the answers, or you know, front loading like the information that you want the answers to, and then setting those expectations, be like, yeah, like this might not work. So sometimes even when I present an offer, I'm like, we can start here, but I want you to know that if they come back and ask for highest and best, like I want you guys to go ahead and start simmering on what that would look like for you guys. And I usually say, have a conversation with your pocketbook. That's my little thing.
Because I think setting those expectations with your clients is huge, because I mean, you're just doing yourself such a disservice.
And the more you know about the market, you're gonna be like, this neighborhood, they're not, like some people are like, well, can we lowball? I'm like, you can.
You can't, you're not gonna get it.
Like, that's adorable, you know, but at the end of the day, if they tell you to, like, it's your responsibility to submit the offer that they, you know, that they feel comfortable submitting. So you're gonna submit it. But then you're gonna prepare them for the expectation that it's gonna come back rejected.
Right, we didn't talk about this today though, but like once you submit the offer, there's a place where you're supposed to give them a certain amount of time. How do you know how much time to give them?
When you call the agent and ask them, you say, are you gonna be able to, like, literally? So sometimes people put it in as like a super annoying strategy, but like 2 hours. I'm like,
Oh, please, that's.
like, sweet, like that's awesome. But you can say, you can literally say like, you know, hey, I was gonna put this later tonight for an expiration, is that okay? Or like, are you, if it's like the first day on the market, you can say, are you guys accepting, is your client like going to be ratifying a contract today? Or do you think that they're likely gonna be reviewing them by tomorrow? Or do you think you're gonna be calling for highest and best? If you get multiple offers, when do you think you might be doing that? Okay, so tomorrow at 9 o'clock, so if I put that might make sense. Sometimes it is more strategic than that, but once again, if you feel like you have a strong offer, like put it out there and put whatever, you know, the expiration date based on some of those conversations. Because literally, like I had somebody say, when should I put the expiration? And I was like, thank you for not saying 2 hours from now, because I already have 3. So like, I'm not gonna respond to yours within 2 hours. I'm just not going to. So the fact that they asked me that question, I was like, thank you. That person won.
How do you guide a seller in terms of the process of accepting offers? Like, do you recommend, like, are there scenarios where you go, we're gonna set a hold date on accepting offers or accepting?
I give them some scenarios usually. So I'll say, okay, so we're listing your house on Friday, showings are starting, you know, blah, blah, blah. If we get one offer, but we have a lot of showings, I'm just gonna let you know, like, we can tell all of the agents, hey, we're gonna be accepting offers until this time, or we're not gonna be reviewing offers until this time. You can actually even put that in the notes section, like, we'll be reviewing offers like Sunday night at 9 o'clock, and then we'll sign any Monday morning, or, you know, something like that. So you can put that in the notes. Obviously be strategic with what you put in the notes, you know, but you can definitely, so usually what I say is, you know, hey, if we get an offer this weekend, awesome. If we start to get a couple, this next strategy is that we're gonna call for highest and best, or something like that. And I say to them, do you wanna call for highest and best, or do you just wanna start, or do you want to review them as we're getting them in? They might want to just knock it out so that nobody else is in their freaking house. So like asking that question too, like, do you wanna see them as they come in, or do you want me to compile them? Or I can send them at the end of the day, you know? And I literally, like I said, you have to present all offers. It's your duty to do that. So you'll say, so I usually just start with the crummiest one. I say, okay, this is our lowest offer. So these are the pros of it, these are the cons of it, and then so forth. You can put it in a spreadsheet. There's also in command under the opportunities tab, you can, I know,
You're so
plug. Under the opportunities tag, you can put in multiple offers, and then there's a way to compare offers and actually send it as an email to them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, and it'll literally put in other terms and stuff like that. So you can put in, you know, closing costs, earnest money, stuff like that, so that they can see that information. Or you can do it yourself. A lot of the times, the cream rises to the top. You know, you're like, okay, it's between this one and this one, these are the terms. And they're like, oh, okay, well, let me talk, you know, to the partner about it, to my significant other about it, and then figure it out.
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
Writing the letters, I had no idea that yesterday was about letters. Just research it, look at the NAR case studies. And the issue with letters is if you're in a multiple offer situation, and say someone really wants the house and they don't get the house and they somehow find out
Oh, they're gonna be
that-
like, it's because I'm a single woman.
Yes, so does that make sense to y'all now?
Oh, absolutely.
So again, the great thing about real estate is there's no one way to do anything. Research it. If you're comfortable doing it, you're comfortable with what may or may not happen, the spider web thing, these are the possible scenarios, have at it. I personally do not make a practice of it. I let my sellers know ahead of time that the seller has received the letter is received with an offer. It will not be, they will not see the letter.
Cool.
That's just me.
All right. I am complete.
Thank you.
There's literally, I do like coaching in Atlanta once per quarter, and